Alex Hormozi, one of the leading business educators of today's age, has said that
78% of our customers had consumed at least 2 pieces of long-form content prior to buying.
So if you are not making long-form YouTube videos already, then just how much are you missing out on? You see, to him, YouTube is so important because of the personal brand and the trust that comes from making YouTube content. When you have that, viewers are basically potential clients who already know you, have already seen your stuff, trust you, and want to work with you. Just think about it yourself. Wouldn't you want to work with someone you already watch on YouTube? And that's the power of a strong personal brand built off creating long-form YouTube content for your business. But wait, who might be saying all this? Well, my name is Edward, and I'm an online business owner and a professional YouTube content creator with over 1.2 million subscribers. And in this video, I'll be sharing my step-by-step framework on how I use long-form YouTube content to grow my channel, my business, and my personal brand. So by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to do that for yourself and your business. So sit tight and enjoy the full YouTube brand launch program. Enjoy. Welcome to YT Brand Launch, the program where I help entrepreneurs, business owners, and professionals build a strong personal brand on YouTube. And now what that means is building a strong, loyal following that supports you and your business for your mission and becoming a well-recognized figure and getting niche fame in your space. Now, if you're here, you probably already know of me, but if you don't, my name is Edward and I've been a YouTuber and an online entrepreneur for over 5 to 6 years now. I've built my main YouTube channel called Cantomando to over 1.2 million subscribers, amassing over 220 to 30 million long-form views. And from that audience, building multiple 7-figure businesses with my established personal brand. Or you might have seen me from my personal YouTube channel where I teach people how to grow and build a strong personal brand, which is basically this. So I think that's enough flexing for the introductions. That wasn't my intention, but I do have to establish who I am. So let's get on to the program and talk about how to grow and brand on YouTube. All right, so let's first start by talking about the right way to use YouTube in the perspective of entrepreneurs, business owners, and professionals. So many people think about YouTube as a platform where you just amass a lot of following, amass a lot of views, get a lot of people to see you. But that's actually the wrong method to think about YouTube, because if you approach YouTube with that mindset, what happens a lot is that you will fall into a lot of traps called typical of view chasing. So what you end up doing is you're making content that gets a lot of views but doesn't actually hit the audience you want. It doesn't hit them in, deeply in the way that you need to convert them into a loyal follower for your business and you as a person. And also you'll find that you often lose that connection with your business, as in the people that are coming in don't match who you want your customers to be. So the way YouTube, and trust me, I know this because I've been doing YouTube for 5-6 years now, and we first started off doing YouTube just for fun without actually using it for business purposes. But now we are entrepreneurs online and we have a YouTube channel. So I know exactly what it means to transition a YouTube channel from just for views, just for entertainment, to actually building a strong personal brand for business purposes. So the first big thing that we should be using YouTube for is branding yourself. So you want to be known as that blank guy, and you can fill in that blank with whatever niche that your business is or whatever you want your business to be in, whatever your profession is. That's what you want to be known for. So you need to be making content that relates to that. And you can think of this as a leveraging tool. YouTube is a leveraging tool to reach a lot of people at once to the masses, to be branded as that person. So ultimately, what is the most important thing, even over views, even more than just the sheer number of views by itself, is, are you known as that guy? Because if you get a lot of views and you're not known as that guy, then it's kind of pointless. You're not branding yourself the way you want to be branded. The second thing is you want to build loyal fans through goodwill. Now, if you don't know what goodwill is essentially where you do something for someone and you kind of establish this goodwill. Think of it as like a IOU kind of favor, but unspoken, obviously. So the people who you have goodwill with feel like in some ways they need to reciprocate to you. We're not doing any kind of like mental manipulation, but the truth is when you give someone something, they start to like you more and they want to give something back to you in the future. So the key with YouTube as business owners is to be generous, to give things away, and people will generally reciprocate 100 times in the future. Okay, so 2 main methods we use YouTube for as business owners and content creators is to brand yourself, be known as that guy, blank guy, and to build loyal fans through goodwill. Getting views is the mechanism to get to here, but this is the ultimate goal. Okay, so what about the sales though? Like, what if you want to use YouTube as a lead generation tool to get people to sign up for your sales? So yes, YouTube does convert directly to sales, but not exactly in the way that you think, because that's not the primary goal. What usually ends up happening is that people watch your content a bunch of times, build a connection with you as a person, and then when they see your business elsewhere or mentioned once in a while on YouTube, they already know that you have what it takes to deliver on your promise. They can trust you, and they just feel a stronger connection with you as a person. It's like an amplifier. It greatly amplifies the odds that this person will become a customer of yours and it will lead to a sale, but that's the primary goal. The primary goal is to build the relationship. It's the branding element and the goodwill generated from YouTube that will lead to long-term sustainable success. So you have all these different ways to make sales, but it's this one thing that will hold everything together, because when people see your business on these other branches, they will already have seen you trust, and they already trust you as a person. So that's how YouTube helps for sales. Not directly, well, kind of directly, but not in the way you think. So here's a quick video that shows you the process of what I'm talking about, okay? It's just a quick short, 30, 40 seconds. You might recognize this guy, Alex Hormozi. He's like the grandfather of the daddy of business education nowadays. So take a look at what he says.
78% of our customers had consumed at least 2 pieces of long-form content prior to buying. This whole time, I had been attributing the success to the paid advertising when it was really the content and goodwill that I was delivering in the long-form stuff that the ads were only squeezing or right-hooking that audience for. That is how the dynamic worked. When you make content, it makes everything else work better.
That's very similar to what I just said. When you make that long-form content and you build that personal brand, it makes everything else work together. He worded it in a good way. 78% of his customers, that's a lot of customers. You know, that's extremely significant. So that's why we're making long-form content. That's why you've committed to making long-form content. You know that this is absolutely critical, especially in today's day and age. People trust people that they already watch online, and short-form content just won't cut it because it's not enough time interact. So let's move on. Here is the personal brand equation. So this is basically the way it works, right? On the left-hand side, we have total influence, which is the strength of your personal brand. And the equation to calculate that is the number of people impacted, which is the breadth of your brand, breadth, it's a weird word, and multiplied by the how deep you impact per person, which is the depth of the personal brand. Your personal brand's total influence is breadth times depth. Now, what does that mean? Okay, so breadth is the amount of people that you actually reach. So in YouTube's terms and a quantifiable figure, you can think of this as views, impressions, unique viewers. How many people actually see your content and how many people does your content reach out to? Just sheer numbers, that's breadth. So the way to maximize personal brand depth in a broad perspective is to make videos, package and market these videos to reach the most amount of people into your niche. So this is what peer YouTubers and generic YouTubers are great at doing. They're great at getting attention and getting people to view their content. So you're going to have to play this game to an extent. You know, you need to learn the techniques and the skills required to package and market videos to reach the most amount of people possible in your niche. Okay, so depth now. Okay, so what is depth quantifiable in YouTube terms? Depth is your video's retention, which means how long people stay to watch your videos for, your video's total watch time essentially, how many people multiplied by how long each stayed for, the amount of returning viewers, because if they're returning to watch your content again and again, you know you've hit them deeper on a deeper level. And intangibles, which cannot be actually measured on the YouTube analytics side, but supportive comments, number of comments, the savior element. Well, how are people referring to you? You know, are they referring to you as the guy who's helping them so much, being a savior to them, so to speak, and the level of goodwill that you're depositing with these people. That's depth. So a couple of years ago, Google's research team came out with a general standard of what's required to turn a stranger into a loyal client, customer, or follower. So what is it required to get that person to really vibe with your personal brand? And they call that the 7, 11, and 4 rule. This is 100% related to the depth of your personal brand and the depth of your relationship with your viewer. So number 1 is 7 hours of your content consumed. Just by thinking about that, you can see why long-form content is so important, because it's almost impossible to get someone to watch 7 hours of your content on short form. Average short form watch time is sub 10 seconds. Okay, so how many videos do you need someone to watch of yours with all the other competition out there for short form content to get 7 hours of content consumed of your content. That's honestly not even feasible, okay? 11 different touch points of content, so you can think of different videos. So if you hit 7 hours of your content consumed across 11 different videos, that's sufficient. And 4 different platforms of contact. So YouTube is one, website, your email, I'm sure you have those ones as well. Short form content as well. So you can think of that as constant contact, okay? So with that constant contact, you're able to turn a stranger into a loyal customer, client, follower. That's what YouTube really, really excels at because it's longer form content. But do keep in mind that these numbers are not a black and white rule, because the bigger you are in terms of subscribers, followers, and views, the easier it is for you to reach that critical level where you can turn a person into a client, a loyal follower, a supporter, because they see it's social proof essentially. They see other people, 1 million people, 2 million people follow you already. You probably already know your stuff. So there's a level of trust there that you can hurdle over, and the deeper your content as well. So you may only have like 10 subs, but in your video, you literally outline exactly what that person is feeling, and you just connect with them on such a deep level. They don't need to see 7 hours. They could just see 15 minutes of your content and they're already sold. They like you as a person, they trust you, and they turn into a client. So the bigger you are and the deeper your content, these are different things that reduce Google's 7-14 and 7-11-4 rule, which is exactly what we're trying to do right now, right? We're trying to build you bigger with breadth and to make your content as deep as possible to connect deeply with the most amount of people. Okay, so we talked about the brief overview of how to maximize personal brand breadth, but depth is by making good videos that are value added to your viewer and makes them want to stay for more and builds them into a loyal fan of yours. So retention is very, very important here because you want them to stay for as long as possible so you can deliver that value to them. Also, what your content is actually about is 100% related to how well you can maximize your personal brand's depth. Okay, so you want to make content that's genuinely valuable for your viewers. Now, warning, too much breadth and you have no depth. Too much depth and you have no breadth. So if you think of it this way, a lot of entertainment YouTubers, myself included back in the day, 4 years ago, we were so focused on getting the most amount of views and just breadth that we weren't able to connect deeply with anybody, so that's a necessary payoff. Think of it like a seesaw. If you have you're trying to reach out to the masses the most, you can't niche down and really connect with individual people who are struggling with that problem. And vice versa. If you try to niche down so narrowly to just talk to that one person, it's almost impossible to have breadth. Okay, so the sweet spot is dependent on your specific niche for your business, right? So I can't tell you like, hey, half, 60-40, 40-70, 30-70. It really is dependent on how specific your niche is for your business. I'll give you an example. Like Alex Hormozy, one of the guys that I always watch for business education, he talks about this one lady who specifically taught psychiatrists how to bill insurance companies to get the most amount of money possible. Now, there's not many psychiatrists who are in the process of billing insurance companies, so it's impossible for her to have that much breadth. So, which is why she only had like 50 or 60 followers on Instagram and on YouTube. But each one of those people, she hit so deeply because she could relate to the problem so well that a lot of them were her customers and clients. So the sweet spot is really dependent on your business's niche. So you're going to have to figure out for yourself. All right, just to wrap it all up, in this lesson, we established what we use YouTube for and how we can use YouTube to build a strong personal brand. And the personal brand equation, the strength of your personal brand, the total influence is the total number of people impacted, which is your breadth, multiplied by how deep you impact each person, which is your depth. Personal brand equation in a nutshell: breadth, depth. Later on in the course, I'll talk about specific actions, what you can do to maximize each of these things in your YouTube content and videos. But before we can get to that, we have to answer the two most important things. You may have some idea of this, you might not, but what kind of videos will you make, which is your offering? Every business has an offering. YouTube is exactly the same thing. And two, who will you make it for? You can think of this as your avatar. So your business probably has an avatar, a person who you can clearly visualize, exactly that's likely who your target audience is. We're going to do the same thing for your content as well. So figuring out who your avatar is. These two questions are the most important things to answer before we can get started making content itself. All right, so see you in the next lesson. Welcome back to YouTube Brand Launch program, where I help professionals, entrepreneurs, and business owners build a powerful personal brand on YouTube. So in this lesson, we're going to be covering what videos to make and for who. So essentially your offering and your avatar. Every business has these as well, what you offer as a business and who you're doing it for. Basically, you have to do the same thing, but for our content. There's a lot of overlap, but there's some differences and some nuances that we should be careful about, right? So the very first, very evident thing is that your content should be matching your business's brand offering. So consider what you're offering for your business is, and you want to focus your content on that niche as well, okay? So for example, you can share valuable technical information and stories related to your expertise in that business niche. So many of you business owners probably already have a niche statement that applies for your business. You know exactly what you do and who you do it for. But we also need that for our content. And it's especially important from the content side because it's so easy to get sidetracked from what your niche actually is. Because your the frequency at which you make videos on YouTube, and you have constant immediate feedback about how your video is doing with the fluctuating views. Some videos might do well, some videos might do poorly. It's very easy to get caught up into that day-to-day grind and start transitioning your content to focus on a niche that focuses on just getting more views, but you're forgetting the bigger picture. You know what I mean? So that's why we always need a niche statement that you can look back on and reflect, okay, this is exactly a good match for my business offering as well. So for example, for me with YouTube Brand Launch, I make insightful content to help business owners grow their YouTube channels to build an inspirational personal brand. So every single video that I make, before I make it, I look at this. And after I make it, I also look at this. So I need to double check to make sure that the content I'm making actually aligns with my niche statement, and I'm not just chasing views, which is something that's very easy to do on YouTube. So this is how you do it. So I built this framework called the YouTube Niche Profiler. This is what helped me. First section on the left here is the actions. So what are the actions that your business actually takes, and what is it that you do as a professional for people? So for example, for me, it would be make YouTube videos and I create content strategies. That's what I do. That's the action. Now the benefit, what does doing the action result in for other people, and in what ways has it benefited you or will benefit someone else? So that's building a personal brand. That's a benefit. Achieving niche fame, growing your YouTube channel, and getting a loyal audience. And the last part is your key personality traits, which is something very, very important because you don't want to be making content, or you probably won't be good at making content that doesn't align with your personality anyway. For example, I would describe myself as a descriptive person, an insightful person. So these are two of the things that I would write here that I can apply for my YouTube Niche Profiler. It's essentially just writing down the individual pieces on paper in these three different columns so you can put them together afterwards. And here's the process on how to put them together. So you want to pick the most simplest representation of what your business or you do action-wise. And for me, that's make YouTube videos, okay? Then you pick the most impactful benefit that you and your business provides to people, your customer, your avatar, which is building personal brands. This basically encapsulates all the rest of them. And then you choose personality traits, this could be multiple, that is most representative of you and you think you can convey in camera. So I have descriptive, insightful, okay? So then you can put it together in this statement where you just fill in the blanks. I make insightful videos on how to make YouTube videos to grow your personal brand. And you can add in for who. So for you, for business owners, for entrepreneurs, for professionals. And I know this seems very simple, very skippable, especially if you are familiar and very, you've been doing your business for a long time. But I guarantee you having this available just for the content niche statement is very, very important because it keeps you on track from doing other things, okay? Because jumping niches on YouTube is such an easy thing to do, and you don't even notice that you did it until later when your content is taking a hit and your audience is not who you want it to be. And trust me, from 6 years of experience, I've probably jumped niches 5 times, and every single time it ends up hurting my audience and my content and my performance. And the first reason is because you'll form a disconnect between you and your existing audience. So all the audience that followed you and subscribed to you for the content that you're making before, when you jump niches, you get sidetracked by chasing views, they're going to feel abandoned by your content. They don't feel like you're the right person for them anymore, and they will either unsubscribe to you or stay subscribed but not click onto your videos when your videos pop up on their feed, which is arguably a worse thing, because then YouTube's going to penalize you for that. Number 2, you get fragmented audience. Let's say you have 100K subscribers, you end up with like 10K subscribers in 10 different things. So it's almost impossible to make content that satisfies all of them. Number 3, it's difficult during the ideation process, which essentially just means it's hard to come up with ideas for videos because it's almost impossible to build a system when you are trying to cater to different fragmented audiences, because every single week you're thinking of a brand new idea and you can't really build series, or we call them buckets. You can't really build series or playlists or buckets that really target a specific audience, which is what you want to do for using YouTube for business purposes anyway. And number 4, you have a weaker personal brand, because if you're doing a million things, you're not doing one thing very well. And people are not going to know you as that blank guy, which is what we're trying to get them to know you as for branding purposes. And I'm spending a lot of time really hammering this in to get you to stay in your niche and make your content niche statement. And it's because YouTube, there's some realities of YouTube that you should know, okay? So these are different pressures that you'll face when you make YouTube videos. Number 1 is that YouTube results are very front-facing to the public. So any success will be widely celebrated, and any failure will be widely recognized as well. So you can't hide that because the number of views shows, right? Number 2 is that the benefits might not be outright immediately evident. And that really goes with the third point as well, that the benefits of a personal brand on YouTube are very backloaded. They compound and your growth grows exponentially once you hit that critical level. So you see on a lot of smaller channels, they'll release a couple videos. It takes them a couple months to get started, not getting many views. And then that one video that they released on month, let's say 4, blows up. It picks up all the previous videos. They all start getting views, and every single video they release after gets a lot of views as well. And that's because YouTube algorithm has picked up on your channel. It has been like, okay, this guy makes good videos. People watch, people stay for a long time. We'll push his videos or her video on more and more front pages of other audiences. So it's backloaded, it's compounding, and it's one of those when it rains, it pours kind of situations. It's like with everything in life. When you hit that level, instead of growing linearly, you grow exponentially. That's how YouTube is. So because of the nature of this, it's very, very important to make your content niche statement and avoid jumping niches, because you want this to compound. So the next thing that's super duper important is knowing who your avatar is, okay? So your avatar, you probably have one for your business already. It's that one specific person who can narrow in, you know every single detail about their life, and that's who your business is for. We need the same thing for our content. Generally, it's almost the exact same as your business's avatar, but there are some changes. So the best way to illustrate this is just taking a look at this little graphic here. So let's say it's me. So I'm making videos on how to use YouTube to build a personal brand for entrepreneurs, business owners, and professionals. So over here, we have people who don't know how important it is to have a personal brand on YouTube, and they don't know they need it yet. So they don't watch any content about growing on YouTube. And over here, you have aware people who know the importance of a personal brand, but they keep delaying it. Oh, it's something for another day. It's just so much work. I don't want to do that, okay? So that's these people. And then there's these educated people who already know the importance of a personal brand, and they're already working on it. So I don't need to hit these people, because even if they've already digested the information that I'm offering in my YouTube video from someone else, they'll watch it again because they're reinforcing and learning. You know, they already know the need for it. Think about yourself. Like, you don't really learn that many new things from videos that you watch. You know, you actually end up watching a lot of different videos that are just repeating things that you already know, but you enjoy listening to them because it's a reminder and reinforces in your mind those things that you're learning. That's how I work. That's how most people work. We watch people who we like and about information that we already know a lot more often than we watch videos about brand new information. So what you want to be doing is you want to be making content right here to hit those people who don't know about the importance of what you have to offer, as well as people who know the importance but are just delaying doing the thing that you're trying to persuade them to do. So that's where this differs from your avatar for your business, because your business avatar might already be educated. They might already be people who are doing this, and they need to find a different alternative, which is you. But on YouTube, you can think of it as further back in the funnel, where you're trying to get people to realize the need for things and to take action. So that's where our YouTube content is primarily going to be, our YouTube avatar is primarily going to be located in this area. So I built an avatar building worksheet in this program. You'll see it down below. It's linked. So make sure you guys use that, because as much as you already know your avatar from before for your business, your avatar for your content might be slightly different. And it's always good just revisiting your avatar so you don't get sidetracked. Same as a niche statement. All right, so with the important niche and avatar out of the way, let's get to the actual videos that you can make to increase depth and breadth of your personal brand on YouTube. So if you guys remember from the previous lesson, I talked about the personal brand equation, which is total influence, strength of your personal brand equals the number of people impacted, breadth, how many people you reach, multiplied by how deep you impact each person, how deep you go, breadth and depth, okay? So let's talk about how we can make videos to increase depth first. All right. So from many, many years of being on YouTube, all the lessons I've ever taken have taught me that there are two things that you need to be in your videos in order to make a strong impact on people and have a powerful personal brand. And these are not things that, you need to have a natural personality trait to be born with. You can establish yourself as this with your videos. So don't worry. It's not a God-given gift or anything. The first thing is you need to be inspirational, all right? And when I say inspirational, you don't need to be a motivational speaker. Don't get me wrong. Like, not everyone's like a Tony Robbins, David Goggins kind of guy, all right? You don't also need to frame yourself as a hero or God. Number one is people need to, in some way or form, want to either be you or want what you have. And if you're stuck on this, I guarantee you there is some part about you, some trait, some character trait that you can convey that people will want to be for themselves, or you definitely have something that people want, because you wouldn't be at your profession. You wouldn't be, a business owner, entrepreneur in whatever niche you are in if you didn't have that specialized skill in doing that thing that people want as well. So in some regards, your viewer must look up to you and respect you. It doesn't have to be all encompassing. They look up to you as a person or respect you completely, but in that domain, they have to respect you. So that's the inspirational element. You essentially want to be a hero. And how do you do that? Well, the easiest way to do that is just to give away key valuable knowledge in your business's realm that proves your expertise, because you establish yourself as the teacher, and it also builds goodwill with your viewer. That's the easiest way. A lot of people who go on YouTube to share education and teach something, they naturally become people that other people look up to, even if they didn't want to. For example, when I first started on YouTube, I was making funny videos on Asian American culture, wearing mom costumes, goofing around, making funny skits with my friends. And then all of a sudden, people start messaging me, like schools start inviting me out, and me and my friends out to give speeches, about what it means, how to become a YouTuber, how to break free of stereotypical boundaries and become the rare Asian American YouTuber. All that happened just because I was giving. For me, I was giving through entertainment at the time, but you can be giving valuable knowledge on your business and your niche. The second thing you can do is you can mention your accomplishments, as in like, oh, you grew to this amount of business, you're this expert. You can actually say these things, but it's better to do this sparingly and focus on giving value to become inspirational. You're just like them, okay? So when I say you're just like them, you don't have to pretend to be someone you're not, but in some way or form, they need to see themselves in you or who you were before your big transformation. So that way they can see, this person went from here to here. I want to be here, but when he was here, he was exactly just like me right now. So that's how you're relatable with them. You allow them to imagine themselves achieving your level of success in your business's realm by being relatable to them when you didn't have what you had, when you were in their shoes. So the reason why this is very important, because it allows them to see your humanness, so your strengths, your weaknesses, your emotions, and your vulnerabilities, so that they can connect with you deeper as a person and not just an icon or an idol. So the way to be relatable is through sharing, and sharing is different than giving. Sharing is what humanizes you, right? So the main way of doing this is to share key moments from your journey in life, how you got to where you are, how you got to where you are professionally as well, and how you became the expert at your niche in your field, whatever your business stands for, right? But the key difference is you want to focus on struggles and how you learn the lessons that you did, because you want to show that vulnerability and the struggle, essentially. The vulnerability is very, very key. And one thing about being a YouTuber or being on camera is that you're going to have to learn to be vulnerable. Even if you're not saying vulnerable things in your speech or in your script, in your storytelling, just by being on YouTube, you're opening yourself up to the world to judge you and see you and criticize you, right? So, and being vulnerable, honestly, isn't a bad thing. It's a good thing. Because look, if the nature of what you're doing by making YouTube videos and being an entrepreneur, being a professional, being a business owner is already putting you out there and making you vulnerable, so to speak, you might as well benefit from it and go be vulnerable all the way, build that relatability with your audience, and build a loyal following. That's what I mean. So don't be afraid to be vulnerable. It helps you actually be more relatable as a person. Now, the balancing act is balancing being inspirational with being relatable. Because if you're too inspirational, like you're just godly, you're a lot less relatable to the average person who wants to become you or wants what you have. But if you're just relatable and you're exactly the same as the average person, then you honestly don't have anything that people would inspire to be. So why would they want to watch your content? Why would they look up to you? So you want to balance both being inspirational and relatable. Now, ideally, every single video you make should be both inspirational and relatable, but the reality is generally you have to focus on one or the other for that specific video depending on the topic of the video that you're doing. So here's how you segment that. First types of videos should be technical teaching. It doesn't have to be exactly like a classroom kind of style teaching. This could come in many different forms. It could be through a reaction, it could be through an analysis, it could be through a talking head video, it could be through an infographics video. It could be through many different ways, but the point is technical teaching videos, you're providing value to the audience by teaching what your expertise is in. The technical teaching makes you inspirational because you're teaching people something that they didn't know that will actually genuinely help them. Now, the second type of video you should be making is the personal storytelling video. Now, this is essentially you digging into your life experiences and telling those stories that people genuinely connect with and can relate to, that also have led you to where you are now. Okay, so think about, let's say I ran YouTube brand launch. In order for me to get here, I needed to become a big YouTuber and learn the game of YouTube. So I can talk about my struggles becoming a YouTuber, my struggles getting to where I am now, my failures in building a strong brand on YouTube until now. I figured it out, and this is what I did. So this kind of progression of me as a person is something that people don't often get to see in the technical teaching videos, which is why the personal storytelling videos are also very, very important, because it makes you relatable and makes you vulnerable, so to speak. But it's also very inspirational as well, because you get to the other side. Technical teaching, making videos that give away your knowledge, okay? So you're an expert in your field of whatever your business is. So you just make videos that teach and give away valuable information of what you know. So this type of video, you truly try to help people succeed at whatever it is that your business and videos offering is, and your videos must give value. Remember, don't try to sell on YouTube. Selling on YouTube will naturally happen. It will also benefit all the other avenues that your business can sell things. But on YouTube, you give, and you'll get it all back 100 times. This is something that's repeated by every single big YouTuber and business owner, and I 100% agree. From experience as well, this is the best thing that has worked for me. If you think about it this way, why did you end up here in the first place? It's because on my YouTube channel, whether it be Cantomando or it be my other YouTube channel, where I teach people how to grow on YouTube, build a personal brand, I was giving. I wasn't asking much. I was just giving, and you ended up here. You know what I mean? So give, and you'll get it back. But am I giving too much? No, you're not, because remember, you're building your personal brand. That is the primary goal of you being on YouTube. You are trying to create a loyal fan base that will eventually become a customer, or even at the very least, they will be huge advocates of what you do and share it with their entire network and different people, right? Number two, you want to prove your expertise in the field so people can actually trust you. Number three, knowledge. The knowledge you have, to be totally honest, and I'll be speaking it from a personal perspective as well, to be totally honest, the knowledge that I'm sharing with you, I'm not the only person who knows these things. I'm not the only person with these experiences. And, I was offering this stuff for free on my YouTube channel anyway, and I'm sure other people in the world are also doing that. So knowledge is everywhere, and it's free anyway. The people who gatekeep knowledge generally aren't making the strongest personal brand on YouTube. Number four, building goodwill. You're building reciprocity in your audience. Your audience likes you. They feel like they owe you something, which is a good thing. And number five, people eventually become your customer anyway because they want you to help implement the knowledge that you're teaching them, not necessarily just pay you for the knowledge, because like I said, that's everywhere and a lot of it's free. It's about the implementation that they're going to come out to you for. So don't be worried about giving away too much. You should actually give away as much as you can, because it'll all come back to you and it'll build the strongest personal brand on YouTube, which is exactly what we're trying to do here. For example, this is the full course that I gave on how to grow on YouTube. This is the more technical knowledge behind my frameworks. This is free on YouTube. 44 minutes of just a pure masterclass, completely free. These are the kind of comments that you essentially want to be having. This is gold supporting you all the way. You want to just share. You can see it here. You can see it here with Alex Hormozi's videos. I watch his stuff all the time. I'm so grateful for what he teaches me. These are the kind of comments that he receives. he just gives away quality content, quality expertise. And that's what you should be doing on your channel as well to build the strongest personal brand. So that's technical teaching I just covered. Now let's talk about personal storytelling and sharing. So personal storytelling types of videos are really focused on building your relatability. Yes, it works for inspirational as well, but that's not the only way you can become inspirational. Like I said, technical teaching also makes you into an inspirational person because you're so knowledgeable in your field. But there's not many ways on YouTube to become relatable with people, and that requires you to tell your story. All right, so you want to use your own struggles that you've had to overcome to get to where you are, personal or business related, and showcase your transformation as a person. Like I said before, don't be afraid to share vulnerabilities. This acts as a connector with people. Everyone has vulnerabilities. No one is perfect. Vulnerability is what people connect with. Like, on YouTube, on business, people connect with the pain points that you bring up with them. And everyone has pain points. People want to connect with people, not perfect robots. For example, take a look at this video. I quit my job for YouTube and lost everything. Now, this is a little bit of an over-exaggeration. I did lose everything, but I also gained everything back and a lot more. But for example, videos like this really, really do super well on YouTube. So 157K. This channel at this time at the time of release, was 5,000 subscribers. And I got 157K views in 2 months. You can see people really relate with these things, these comments. This is a super transparent, inspirational story. Inspirational, which is great, but also relatable. Not many people really want to talk about this side. You just think most of it on dare. You went a long way. You should be proud of it. These are the type of comments that you want to be receiving on your personal storytelling videos. You can see here, Alex Ramose's video. In this video, he tells a lot about his journey in life and his stories, and people really love the transparency that he has here, which is great. So to put it all together, this is essentially what happens when you create videos that are both inspirational and relatable, right? Not only does it make your videos deeper and increases your depth, it also increases your breadth. So this is my business partner's YouTube channel in which we work on the strategy together. Canto Tamando, we sell digital education course where we help Cantonese speakers use their Cantonese and leverage that to learn Mandarin at a much faster, accelerated pace. It's a very catered, customized course. You can see here that through making these videos here, which are the personal storytelling videos, you're casting the net wide. So you're actually getting a lot of new people to come watch you as well, breadth-wise. On a channel with 17.6K subscribers, this video is 138K 9 days ago, 138K 2 months ago, 326K 4 months ago. These are great numbers for a channel with only 17.6K subscribers. And this is what happens when you make these personal storytelling videos that both make you relatable, inspirational, and cast your net wide to get more breadth. Okay? Obviously, you want to be casting your net wide still within your niche, which is exactly what he's doing. All these videos are about Chinese learning. Now, giving away value, this is the depth side of it. So on the same channel, you'll see videos like how to learn Mandarin as a Cantonese speaker, 2-hour masterclass course, an 11-minute video on Chinese phrases, an 11-minute video on secret to reading Chinese. And you can see these videos drastically underperform the ones previous. 11K, 1.6K, 10K. But it doesn't matter because in these storytelling videos, you're creating a lot of depth through being relatable and being inspirational. And here is where you prove to them through providing value through your technical teaching videos that you're someone to be listened to in this regard. And these videos, although they don't perform that well, they actually create a lot of loyal followers and a lot of loyal audience because people came in with this and this is what they stayed for. That's essentially it. Now, the 1 to 3 rule. So what's the 1 to 3 rule? The 1 to 3 rule is essentially based off a couple experiments that we ran on our own channels. You generally want to outnumber the personal storytelling videos with about 3 technical videos. So let's say you make one of these videos. You can't just be making these videos all the time. Otherwise, you're literally just like a sob story, okay? So one of those to every 3 of these ones, okay? So you hit them with a storytelling video that brings a lot of people in through breadth. And then you would use 3 of these videos here to deliver the value and information. All right, so it's not a mandatory 3-to-1 cadence, but around that is generally good. All right, why 3-to-1? Like I mentioned before, starting with a personal video allows a person to connect with you, generally reaches more people, it sets the tone of who you are. Then 3 technical videos provide enough value for you to start establishing yourself as an expert in the field. Now, how do you track depth? How do you actually track this thing to make sure you're actually doing a good job at this? All right, so where this comes from is video retention, number one. How long people stay for your videos on average before they click out. The total watch time, which is your the number of people who watched multiplied by how long they watched. Number three is returning viewers. How many people came back to watch more videos of yours? And number four is intangibles like supportive comments. If you ever see comments that are saying like, "Oh, you provide so much value, thank you so much." These are all good indicators that you're hitting people deep enough with depth. Again, what about the sales? Well, I feel like I'm repeating this over and over and over again, but I think it's very important that you don't look at YouTube strictly from a sales perspective, because there are many, many avenues to get people to buy. You can have paid ads, you can have email marketing, you can have short form content, you can knock on doors and get people to buy your stuff. But there are very, very few ways to get people to love you. To get people to love you, you need them to watch you for a long time and connect with you as a person. And the reality is, people aren't going to give you that much time to connect with them, right? So YouTube is one of the very rare few mediums which you can actually engage people for long enough, as well as deliver enough value and personality to get people to love you. All right, so this should be your primary goal. You're building your personal brand, getting people to love you. Remember, results compound exponentially over time on YouTube. So your personal brand from YouTube, the benefits from it are backloaded. So as in, like I said before, you might have a couple months where things are slow, and then when that one video picks up, everything picks up. So just keep that in mind. To summarize, in this lesson, we talked about the different types of videos that you should be making to both reach the most amount of people, for example, storytelling videos, and how to deeply impact each person as well through mixture of storytelling videos as well as technical teaching to give them value. So that is breadth plus depth. So now you know the types of videos that will best hit both of these points, but what do we do within those videos that can further emphasize how many people we reach, as well as further emphasize how many people that we hit deeply? So that's the next topic. The next lesson will be covering how to reach the most amount of people in your videos. See you there. Welcome back to YouTube Brand Launch, the program where I help business owners, entrepreneurs, and professionals build a powerful and influential brand on YouTube. So we covered the last two really important things, which were the avatar, finding your avatar, and finding your content niche. So now let's get on to the actual nitty-gritty of things, which involves the first part of the video creation process. This is viral topic generation. We're going to find out how to research and find some viral topics that'll be perfect for your niche so that you can make the best performing videos. Okay, so again, like I said, we've already done the channel setup fundamentals, which are what videos you're going to make. You should have already done your niche profile exercise by now for your content and who's going to watch. So that's your avatar for your content as well. Both of these are related to your business, but they might not be 100% exactly the same. So it's a good idea to do both of these. You should have done them by now. And just a reminder of what the personal brand equation is. I'm going to go over this many, many times through this entire program. The total influence, the strength of your personal brand, how influential you are, is determined by the number of people impacted, which is the breadth, and how deep you impact each person, which is the depth. So that's breadth multiplied by depth. That is your personal brand equation. So keep that in mind through this entire program. All right, so personal brand on YouTube comes from the most obvious thing, which is views. So the more views equals the more breadth you'll have on YouTube. So anyone that says, number of views don't matter, that's just every YouTuber or YouTube coach who can't get views themselves, who hasn't got a lot of views before. Because you would never say the number of customers you have doesn't matter. That doesn't make any sense. Because logically, the more people you reach, as long as you do a good job hitting them once you've reached them, equals more customers, more clients, more people who are a loyal fan of yours and a stronger personal brand. So although not every view is 100% equal, the total number of views that you get on YouTube has a direct correlation, a direct positive impact on how strong your personal brand will be and how influential you are, as well as how many people, clients and customers and loyal following, loyal audience you get from YouTube. Okay, so how do we get more people to watch our videos? So this is where we get into the nitty-gritty part of YouTube, which you'll see a lot of YouTube coaches, ones who are specifically focused on getting people big on YouTube, talk about. And it's this thing called the YouTube algorithm. So the main point of the YouTube algorithm is to find videos that are doing certain things very, very well and push them to more people, which means that the creators who are on the side of the YouTube algorithm, who are giving the algorithm what they want, will get more people to see their videos, because it's being pushed on all of these other people's homepages. So how do we hit the YouTube algorithm so that it pushes to more people? Well, it's basically just these two things, all right? So it's a combination of how many people click into our video. If we're doing a very good job of getting people to click into our video, that's a plus. And how long people are watching our videos for, which is called retention, which is the second main factor. As long as you're doing these two things well, the algo will continue a positive feedback loop and keep pushing more people to click into your videos who are more catered for your content, which will lead them to watch longer as well. So let's talk about this part first. How do we get more people to click into our videos? That's the very first part that hits the breadth of your personal brand. All right, so it all comes from packaging. A couple examples of good packaging is something like this. You can see 33 million views, great title, great thumbnail. I'll explain specifics why that's the case. You'll see something like this. So this is actually, you may have met him actually, Kenneth. He works with the team. This is his YouTube videos. And 2 weeks ago, 118 views, terrible packaging. No offense, Kenneth. And then you see here, better packaging, better titling, and 2.2K views in 10 days. So this is just a huge change, exponential change, just from packaging it better. So how do we package our videos to get the most people clicking in? So packaging on YouTube is broken down into two separate sections. One is the title and the thumbnail, because that's basically everything that the viewer sees on the front end of your video before clicking in. So even just to give your video a chance, these two things have to be done well. So title is further broken down into a topic and an idea, which I'll break down the specifics in this video, and a viral thumbnail. And together, these two things makes viral packaging, which is what we're trying to accomplish. Even if you're not looking to become like viral, the point is, as long as you have viral packaging, you can hit the most amount of people in your business's niche as possible. And that's essentially what we want to do to maximize breadth. So in this video, we'll be talking about the viral topic portion of the viral titling. So let's talk about this. First off, we have to understand what a topic is on YouTube, all right? So the easiest way to explain this is that it's the main subject of the video. And here are some examples of what I'm talking about. So for business, the subject might be revenue, might be leads, might be lead magnet, might be funnels. So essentially, it's the noun that you build the video title around. In tech, iPhone, Samsung tablet, laptop, Vision Pro, foods, pizza, pasta, YouTube, 1 mil subs, first sub, first channel. So it's essentially the noun, which is the subject which you build the title around. So that is a topic. So just to briefly go over what idea is so you don't get confused. Idea is essentially how that topic is being manipulated, which is what's happening around that topic. You can think of it as everything around the noun. So let's say this was, revenue, business revenue, okay? So that's over here. Then the idea would be how to maximize business revenue. You can add something around the back as well. So how to maximize business revenue for small businesses in 2024. But the topic is business revenue. Right? How to generate more, this is a typo, how to generate more blank. Fill in that blank with anything. Leads could be, clients could be, investment. He ate blank. The richest man alive does blank. YouTube brand launch students achieve blank. The secret to why blank achieves so much success in 1 month. So whatever goes around that topic, which is the subject, that is considered the idea on YouTube. So if you've been observant and you've thought one step ahead, you can probably notice that you can swap the topic and the idea around and still make different titles. For example, in this first example here, we have YT brand launch students achieve, that is the idea, and 1 million subs is the topic. But if you swap that and you make YT brand launch students as the topic, achieve 1 million subs, that is the idea. Because these are interchangeable, we have to have a very specific process in figuring out which of these sections, which of these subjects is better to be used as the topic versus the idea. I'll give you an example. Do you really think that a topic of 1 million subs on YouTube is going to do better than YT brand launch students as a topic on YouTube? I would say so, because YT brand launch students is a relatively smaller thing. Like we're not mainstream, you know what I mean? So if using 1 mil subs as a topic, I would just naturally assume that this would do better as a topic. Obviously, we need to confirm that with research, but the point is you can swap the topic and the ideas around to get the video topic, which has the highest potential of virality. So we need a process for this, and that is called the viral topic generator. So what this all does is that it's a process to do research to find the most viral topics in your niche, and then you can focus and hone in on those ones to make your videos. So this is how it is. Okay, so first it's just initial brain dump. Think of it as, your brain's fresh, you have an idea, so just write it all down. write down 10 topics that are related to your niche, and you can try to incorporate what you think is most popular in your niche as well. So what that means is go through YouTube, the videos and the channels that you follow, see what kind of video topics that they're making it about, and then you can use that as inspiration in this initial brain dump as well. So it's whatever you think is popular in your niche, whatever you're seeing in your niche, or things that are just related to your niche that you'd be interested in making videos in. And the important thing to note is that not to use jargon, which are very complex words and terms that are hyper specific to your niche, unless your avatar, after doing the research, is also so hyper specific and your niche requires you to call out these people who, and you want to eliminate everyone who doesn't know this super specific thing, and you just want those people. But remember, on YouTube, we want to leave it generally a bit more broad so you can attract the people who are just learning about what your business has to offer or what you have to offer and becoming loyal fans of yours, right? So what I mean by jargon is, for example, let's say you're a lawyer and there's a bill about, a taxation bill called the C1963.6, right? So instead of calling it C1963.6, you should call it the new taxation bill for New York, for example, because more people will be able to understand what that actually means and click into your video, and then you can have more views that way. So using jargon as topics really narrows down your breadth for your content. And last thing is just make sure that you'd be interested in covering any of these topics that you have on this list, because, just from an enjoyment perspective, you want to make sure that you're enjoying making these videos. Otherwise, it's going to be a very miserable journey. Cool. Number 2 is existing video research. So you can find 10 or more topics that interest you that are in your niche from existing videos on YouTube. So this is very similar to what I was talking about before. Go through these channels that you follow, go through the big videos in your niche and check out what they're up to. And you can write some of those topics down as well. Do 10 and 10. So now step 1C is to brainstorm adjacent topics. So what adjacent topics are essentially topics that are derivatives of your topics that you had before. So they're just narrower subtopics of those topics. So if you think of it, let's say you had taxation, you can have a specific bill, or let's say your topic was investing and you can have trading as a subtopic, or even further narrow down to like interest rates or flag and bull head and shoulders set up for a breakout pattern or something. So these are very specific subtopics, which are a lot easier to brainstorm once you do have those larger topics. So at this point, just for each topic you have written down, which should be 20, you can write down 20 more additional subtopics to make 40 standalone topics. Now, this is where the creative element stops and it becomes more research-based. So what we do now is we do keyword search of these topics on YouTube. And the goal for this is to find out which topics have the highest chance of success. What we're looking for here is view ceilings, high view ceilings, which means that's the maximum amount of views that a video on that topic has already existing on YouTube. All right, so let me show you how that's done. Let me just go to YouTube itself, incognito, so you can see my sketchy browser history. All right, so let's say we are a hedge fund and we want to make videos on investing. All right, so let's punch in trading. Okay, trading, investing. So what we do is we go into this filter section. Sorry, if you're trading stocks, right, to be more specific. Trading stocks. So let's go into this filter section here. What you want to do is you want to filter by view count, 4 to 20 minutes or over 20 minutes. Generally, I recommend 4 to 20 minutes. The reason why is you want to eliminate under 4 minutes because a lot of shorts show when you keep this filter in. And we're focusing on long-form videos to build an influential personal brand. So let's hit 4 to 20 minutes, and you see this here. So what this is a list of videos that are ranked by the highest view possible of that specific topic. So you can see that in the topic of trading stocks, this video here has 14 million long-form views, then 12 million, then 11 million. So essentially, the most amount of views that you will get on trading stocks for this topic is likely 14 million or lower. Even if you make the most amazing video ever and somehow the algorithm pops it off, you become viral, you likely won't get past 14 million views, right? So that's just what I'm trying to say here. Now let's go trading options. I'll give you an example. So under the same filters, I'll do trading options and we'll see. So we do view count and 4 to 20 minutes. So what you're seeing is 11 million views here, right? So options trading specifically for this. So what that means, and the second video is only 5 million views. So what that means is that trading stocks as a topic has a higher view ceiling than trading options. So if you are a hedge fund, you want to get new clients, you want to build a strong personal brand and influential personal brand on YouTube. If you want to maximize your breadth for that specific topic and you're deciding between trading options and trading stocks, perhaps trading stocks is the better topic to use on your YouTube title. That's how you use this research, all right? Now, an important point is that sometimes when you're filtering by view ceilings, a lot of different videos will pop up that are actually unrelated to your niche, but are borrowing that search term. For example, let's say you are an artist and you love using the color red, and you're trying to get people to check out your art on YouTube, build a personal brand there, and you search red. Like, let's say you made a painting all about red. So you search red and you want it to be focused on red art, but for some reason, these things pop up, like this movie here, this song here. So obviously, these are unrelated to your actual niche of artistry, painting, and red in general. So this is clearly just borrowing that search term, that word, for the view ceiling research. So you can eliminate these options here and disregard them because they actually have nothing to do with red and painting. Cool. So for example, if you were to do trading and then a video of a dude trading seashells on a beach pops up and that's really high rated, you can kind of eliminate that and disregard that because that actually has nothing to do with your niche, except it's just using that word. So after that, you're at step 2B where you record your view ceilings. So the video that uses the topic within your niche with the highest amount of views possible on this filter research process on YouTube search is known as your topic's view ceiling. So you can think of this as your topic's maximum potential on YouTube. Obviously, the higher the better, because even if you don't manage to reach the upper echelon of views, it just proves that there's more people interested in that topic. So even if you were to make a middle of the range video for a higher view ceiling topic, it'll still outperform generally, all things equal, a middle of the range video for a lower view ceiling topic. So yeah, so that's what we're doing here. We're recording down the view ceilings of the 40 topics that you have, the 20 main topics and the 20 subtopics. So this is a clear example for research that we performed for my main YouTube channel, entertainment focused, which brings people together from different cultures through sharing food. So this is Wagyu up here. Wagyu was a main search term here, 84 million as the view ceiling. And this one here was sirloin. So it was actually a sirloin steak search, and the maximum amount of views was 22 million. So as you can see here, if we were planning to make a video on steak, it's way better for us to make a video on this one, on Wagyu steak instead of sirloin steak. So step 2C is after you've done the research for the view ceilings on YouTube search and you've written down all those different view ceilings, now it's time to rank them based off view ceiling. So take the top 20 topics based off view ceiling and rank them in descending order. Highest view ceiling at the top, descending order, and then you can cut off the 20 topics who have lower view ceilings after, or just save them for later. But let's focus on the 20 highest view ceiling ones. So now that you have your 20 topics with the highest view ceiling, step 3A is focusing on what's trending. So think of trending as like extra rocket fuel for your topic. So there's not always things trending, but when there is, it's highly beneficial to jump on them and focus on those as well. So the way to check if things are trending is to check YouTube by searching the term. How many recent videos are done by big creators in your niche on that specific topic? If there's a lot, then it's probably trending. Prioritize trending topics, ones that are popular now. Use Google Trends. You can use Google Headlines, just do a quick search on it. Trending topics are not always common, but when they are, it's very, very beneficial to use them. Depending on your niche, you can prepare a calendar of important dates and events. For example, if you're like in a tech niche, it's very easy to figure out when things are being released in advance and to prepare those on a calendar so that you can make videos of that to capitalize on trending moments. Same with the financial sector when you have economic calendars, earnings reports, FOMC meetings, so interest rate meetings, political events, like all these things can be planned in the calendar in advance so you can prep videos for that because you know it's going to be trending at that time. Overall, you're familiar with your niche. You know if you can prepare a calendar of important dates and events. If you can, it's a good idea to use that. All right, so here's an example. Trending NVIDIA at this time of the screenshot was trending. Apple Vision Pro was trending. So 4 months ago, 26 million. 4 months ago, 40 million. So a lot of these bigger creators, when you see them making content like that, you want to hop on that trend if you can, and it's better to be prepared in advance for that. All right, so step 3B is you want to eliminate dated or obsolete topics. So sometimes you'll have topics that make it to the top of your view ceiling topic list, but clearly they're dated or obsolete. Okay, so these are topics that are tied to the time where they were once relevant, but no longer. An example is pizza is something that's always relevant. Investing is always something that's relevant, but iPhone 12 is only relevant in the year that it was released. For example, you'll see this video here. This is about pizza. 4 years ago, 255 million. Obviously, Mr. Beast is huge as well, but like pizza, this is just something that people will click on now, even if they saw it, versus something like this. Like no one really cares about the iPhone 11 anymore. So take out these dated and obsolete topics. So after this view ceiling analysis, the result is that you'll end up having 10 to 20 topics left, and these are highest performing view ceiling topics. And what you want to do is obviously prioritize the high view ceiling ones and the high trending ones, and then go down to the ones you're most confident about, as well as what interests you a lot to start with. So prioritize the ones higher in the list, but then if there's something you really, really want to make video about, then I guess you can, as long as it's on the view ceiling list, it's still somewhat decent. So I guess you can make that too. So I know this was a lot of information, and you might get lost sometime on the way to finding topics with great view ceilings. So make sure you guys use the YouTube Brand Launch community. It's there for a reason. That's where my team and I will be. You can get guidance and coaching there, share results for others for feedback, get feedback and give feedback to others, and also connect with other members, entrepreneurs, business owners, professionals that are in the group. So to recap, in this lesson, we talked about a couple elements that will trigger the YouTube algorithm to get you more views and more breadth for your influential personal brand. And it's broken down into packaging, which is viral title and viral thumbnail. And in viral title, we're talking about the process on how to find viral topics. So for the next video, we're going to talk about how to find viral ideas so you can put them together and make some viral titles. All right, so see you in the next lesson. All right, welcome back to YouTube Brand Launch, the program where I help entrepreneurs, business owners, and professionals build a powerful and influential personal brand on YouTube. All right, so last lesson we talked about viral topic generation, which was one of the key elements to a viral title. And this one we'll be talking about viral idea generation. All right. So if you guys don't remember, just to reiterate, our goal is to maximize the influence of our personal brand. And part of that is to reach the most amount of people possible, which is the breadth portion of our personal brand equation. To do that, we must satisfy the YouTube algorithm, which is what we're working on right now. The way to hit the YouTube algorithm is to get the most amount of people to click into our videos, as well as get people to watch our videos for as long as possible. So we're working on this part right here, getting the most amount of people clicking our videos. And what we've done so far is that we've already talked about how to generate a viral topic, which is one part in making a viral title. Now we're going to be talking about how to generate research the viral idea portion to form the viral title. The first part in making viral packaging, with the second one being viral thumbnail, which we'll cover in the next lesson. All right, so we're focused on getting this viral packaging element to get the most amount of people to click on our video. Cool. Viral idea, like I mentioned, we're on this part right here, the second part of making the viral title. And remember, the idea is the framing around the already established viral topic, all right? So the viral topic is what we did before with the view ceiling research on YouTube with the search. But now what we're doing is we're finding ideas that build the framing around the topic. So this is the idea around the topic, everything in the title that goes around that subject or topic. Here, let me give you an example of the importance of having a viral idea, all right? So this was a video that was on Cantamento, my channel, and the topic was tipping. And the original idea was tipping increasing amounts to Chinese restaurants to get their reactions, all right? So this was how it was in the first 24 hours. It was released back in 2021. As you see here, 30K views, 3.5K watch times. It seems pretty good, but if you actually look at this, down gray arrow here relative to our performance at the time, it was actually very, very underperforming. So 19.6K less than usual at 29K views. That's about 50 or maybe like 60% of our regular views. Yeah, exactly. My math was good. 40% fewer views. So it was rough, all right? And that was because this topic was fine. It was the idea that was weak. So increasing amounts of Chinese restaurants was a weak idea. And we didn't do our research properly at that time before we released the video. So what we did is we reframed the video to have the same topic, but the idea was something that Chinese restaurants don't deserve. So it became tips are something that Chinese restaurants don't deserve. And as you can see, we renamed the title to Chinese restaurants don't deserve tips. And look what happened. As soon as we changed that title and repackaged that idea, what happened was that the video took off. Boom. You can see this spike right here. And December 3rd, it goes up, goes up, goes up, eventually climbs to 35K views a day and ended up reaching 523,000 views, a definitive viral video, even for our standards. This definitely was performing very, very well at the time. And this all came from us just repackaging the video idea. Now, what if we had that viral idea from the start? What if we did our research properly? This video probably would perform a lot better and pick up right from the start instead of having this Hail Mary save right here, okay? So that's why it's so important to have a viral topic plus a viral idea, because they can work together to make sure your video reaches the most amount of people. By the way, we don't actually think that Chinese restaurants don't deserve tips. Obviously, I'm Chinese myself. I think they deserve a fair amount of tips. People shouldn't be prejudiced based off people's colors of their skin. You see, in this video, what we were doing is we were going around and proving the fact that Chinese restaurants do deserve tips and tipping these Chinese restaurants increasing amount of tips. So that was actually the problem we were trying to solve. All we had to do was just reframe the title anyway to focus on the problem we were trying to solve instead of what we were physically doing. So it wasn't a clickbait title. It actually matched what the video was about, the contents of the video, and it was something that was doing good for Chinese restaurants. So overall, this was a good idea that we should have had at the beginning and would have made this video perform a lot better. All right, so what makes a viral video idea? Let's just cover this quickly. A viral video idea must accomplish three things, all right? It must be simple and understandable, which means that people must instantly be able to understand the concept. Generally, you want the full title with the topic and the idea to be short and to the point, 55 characters or less. There's a lot of online character calculators that tell you the amount. I do recommend you use that. And the reason why we want it to be shorter and to the point is because, number one, people's attention spans are limited, and you want to drive home the most amount of content possible per unit of effort that people have to do. It's just the way it is nowadays. People's ADHD seems to be on the rise, so short and to the point is better. Again, no complex words. I mentioned this before with the topic section. You don't want to use jargon unless you're hyper niched yourself, because this limits the amount of people who can connect to your title and understand what it's about, which limits your views. And one very, very important point that people often overlook is you want to use grade 5 language or below. And the reason why is because I think there were stats out there which was like 56% of the US population reads at a grade 6 or below level, and actually 25, almost a quarter of Americans are illiterate, right? So when I first heard these thoughts, I was like, there's no way this is actually the case. But yes, it is. So if you just think of it that way, do you want to eliminate 1/4, a quarter, or do you want to eliminate half of the potential people who would be interested in your video and want to watch it in the first place? Of course not. Even if your niche is all people with good education and fully literate, above grade 5 level, you still want those views from the rest of the people, because that will trigger the algorithm to push it more to your avatar and to your niche. So grade 5 language level or below. And the way you can test this is there's a lot of online readability calculators, for example, readable.com, that you can plug your title in and it gives you a grade level. So make sure you use that. Again, grade 5 language or below. Make sure that's very important. So here's the example of a good idea versus a bad idea and how it fits into the titling, okay? So this one is Mr. Who's the Boss, one of the biggest tech channels out there. Very simple title, under 55 characters, very understandable. The best smartphones for 2024. Okay, so that basically means that he's going to tell me which is the best smartphone for 2024. I can't even simplify it further. It's just so simple. All right, so the second one here is TechWiser, also a tech channel, and also a very big tech channel at that. It's several million views. 7 million subscribers, but only a similar video. Similar topic, only 228K views versus Mr. Who's the Boss, 5.7 million. And one of the reasons why, aside from Mr. Who's the Boss just being more popular, is his title is confusing. So, how to buy a perfect smartphone in 2024. So this is a tutorial video that teaches people what to look for in the perfect smartphone that was released in 2024, or what to compare between the smartphones released in 2024 to find the best one to buy. it's a mouthful, it's hard for me to wrap my mind around exactly what he means already, so as you can see, it has an effect on the performance of the video. Idea alone that comprises a title is a lot more confusing. This is a tutorial guide on the best smartphones of 2024. This one is a better title, better idea overall. You can see the effects. Second example, this one is turning in my 2021 savings challenge, coins in $1. So only coins in $1 are going to be included in this challenge, which calculates the total amount of money in 2021, something like that. Whereas something like this is super simple. I crossed America with a penny. Okay, so short, concise, to the point. That's what we want to do in our titling, in our idea generation and our titling. So for conciseness, just use a simple free word calculator like wordcounter.net to make sure that you're 55 characters and below. For simple language, you want to be under grade 5 and under. You can use online resources like this, like Readable. There's a bunch of other ones as well. Some are free, some are not. Go check it out. And just obviously your common sense, and run it by the YTBL community and see what they say. All right. Second big point is you want your title and your idea to be familiar but different. And what I mean by that is that there's so much content out in this world, okay? So it's almost guaranteed that the audience that you want to watch your content has already seen very similar content on that specific topic, and perhaps even in the same idea that you have. But what gets people is something that is familiar, where they think they've seen that before, but then there's that one element where they're like, okay, this is a different thing. This is packaged in a different way, and it's brought up in a novel and unexpected way. So this is the familiar but different concept works extremely well for ideas and titling. An example is, I actually learned this concept from this video right here. Very, very popular video, 5.2 million views. Tom Scott is an established YouTuber. This was the world's only float-through McDonald's. So in this video, he talks about the concept of familiar but different, but also uses it in the packaging of the video itself, which is why it performs so well. So everyone knows about what a drive-through McDonald's is. We've all experienced that. That's very, very familiar. But this is the world's only float-through McDonald's. So it's him on a boat with the McDonald's logo in the background. So immediately, my mind is, I know this already. I've seen millions of these. And then wait, there's something different about this. It's both familiar and different. So this is what led to this video performing so well. You can also see it here. Why new opportunities keep you poor, from Alex Hormozi's video. Opportunities, the word itself is usually associated with prosperity, things that will bring us to where we want, to accomplish new goals. But for example, in here, he bonds it with keeps you poor, which is something that is very different and a different take on a familiar topic. New opportunities is a topic, very familiar. I'm totally expecting him to say something like, it's going to be beneficial for me. Keeps you poor, the idea, flipped it, completely different. Great packaging for the title. Number 3, it has to set expectations. So when the title and idea is read by the audience, there should have some kind of expectation at the end. You can't just leave it totally vague. When someone reads the title, they need to have an idea of what they expect to see at the end, or what they expect to learn by the end of the video, and that's what draws them in. So setting this expectation makes them stay curious enough to click and confirm their expectation, whether or not it's right or wrong. People are very curious. They always want to confirm what they believe is correct. So having an idea and a title that sets expectations in the mind of the viewer is very, very important. Well, for example, you can see here, this is a pretty successful Alex Hormozi video, one day go 121K views. And the idea is evidence-based guide, and the topic is making money online. So making money online is a very, very popular topic that a lot of people use because it has a really, really high view ceiling. Everyone's interested in making money online, of course. And my evidence-based guide here is the idea. Here's a very, very important thing that I do have to bring up. Ideas don't come from creativity. Yes, they can come from creativity, but actually where they come from a lot more than creativity is research. Creativity just acts as a bonus. And this is applicable for literally every single thing out there. Every single brand new thing, novel invention, great idea, great content idea is all a derivative of something that already exists. Okay? So if you are not someone who you would classify as very creative, don't worry. As long as you know the process for research, you can come up with a lot of great, great ideas that will really, really blow up your channel and make you a strong and influential personal brand, right? So like I said, the myth is you have to be super creative. The fact is you just need to do research. This is kind of like a depiction of what it's like. We've all seen this iceberg thing used for various analogies in both in the business world and everything. The creativity is just a tip of the iceberg where you see here where the research is the thing that actually the big part of the equation. For example, here's a car from, I don't know what age this was, super old, beginning of the 20th century. And Tesla, a brand new, super innovative electric car company. Everyone's raving about it. Actually, this is also an electric car here. Tesla, what they just did is just innovate through research, So I'm sure they did research, found out that electric cars were possible, and decided to innovate it on it to become Tesla. Same with Rivian is now innovating on Tesla to make electric pickup trucks. It's the same thing, electric vehicle, only slight modification is that they're focused on pickup trucks and trucks. Innovation through research, you can see this through every single thing in the entire world. The reason why it's so important, and this is such a big point I'm making, is that creativity is not something that can be systemized. And if you can't systemize something, it's unreliable. It's just based on the whims of, how creative your brain is in that moment. That's not something that's actually functional. It's not something that can be taught. So because we can systemize research, we can build a process that is reliable day after day to generate viral video ideas. And that's what I'm going to teach you right now. Look, people fail on YouTube not because they're bad on camera, not because they are not creative, not because they're just not meant for it. They just don't know how to look for ideas, what to look for, and how to apply that research into an actionable step to make viral videos that pick up and build a strong personal brand, right? That's the reason why people fail, not because of some God-given talent thing that they're lacking. All right, so here is the process for finding viral ideas. It's called the Viral Idea Finder, all right? So there's two methods to do this. One is by using third-party tools, which helps you more quickly find ideas that are outperforming. Second one is you create a dummy channel. This is much slower, but it is free. Total heads up, the third-party tool, it costs I think $50 a month. It's well worth it if you're going to make YouTube videos. But if you want to save money on that, you can go with the dummy channel method as well. But the point is, what we're doing here is we're finding outperformers. This is a very, very important word right here. We're not finding videos that are doing well, like getting lots of views. We're finding videos that are doing well relative to that channel itself. So this is Iman Godsi. I'm sure many of you recognize him. He's a YouTuber and a digital entrepreneur. So if you see this video right here, I built 3 schools in Nepal, 735K views. That's a lot of views, Like that amount of views is like the thing of people's dreams. But if you actually look how it performed relative to his entire channel, you'll see that that's actually the lowest performing video in this order of 12 videos by far. 735K views is way underperforming everything else in this channel. That's like 50% of the second lowest video. So if you're to view this all in a vacuum without seeing the bigger picture, you might be like, oh, maybe the viral idea is to build schools in insert blank for country. It's like, but if you look at it from like an overall perspective, it's actually an underperforming idea. So this is why it's very important to find outperformers and not just videos that are quote unquote doing well on YouTube and getting views. So second example is this right here. You can see this video has gotten 2.2K views in the last 12 days compared to the rest of the videos in this channel. That's almost 10 times the amount of views, and this is exactly what we want to look for. All right, we're looking for outperformers when we're doing video research, videos that are performing well relative to the channel or the niche. Remember, the big word, the thing we have to emphasize is relativity. All right, outperformers, not just videos with high view count. So let's start with the first way of doing this, which is the third-party tools method. And the goal of this is to use a third-party tool to quickly find and confirm ideas that are outperforming within a niche. The pros, super efficient, can finish research in about a quarter of the time, makes less errors. The cons is that it requires a subscription. So, pick your poison. You want to pay with time or pay with money. So this is how it works. It's a website that looks like this, and these numbers here, these are the multipliers. So let's say you were to search something called abs, you can see all the different videos that are ab topic focused, and you can see which topic and idea has performed the best. So this here is performing 70 times the average of that channel, which posts. All right, so let's go through the viral idea finder with the third-party tool to see how that's exactly done the entire process. One more thing to add is that if you search specific topics, you'll get less results in general, but more quality. So if you want, it's basically a narrower search, and if you search your niche altogether, you get more different ideas and results that you could potentially use for your idea, but it requires a bit more digging. Okay, so if you are struggling to find the right topics, then maybe you want to go a bit broader searching your niche, Whereas if there's just a lot of noise, a lot of garbage that you're not vibing with for these searches, then narrow down and search your specific topic. Got it? So it's called 1of10.com, and this is my account. I personally use it for all the video idea research that I do. You filter and search by your topics or your niche on 1of10.com. So let's say my topic was, let's say I was a company that did Facebook ads for clients, for example, okay? So I would go into the filter date here. I would select last year right here. And if you want, you can select by multiplier to slide it to like 3x. Generally, that's a good level. Or you can leave it at 0 or 1x. So the thing about leaving it at 1x is that it widens your search to allow for more topics to show up, whereas 3x might limit the amount of topics that would show up. So for this purposes, I'll just leave it at 1x, and then we'll choose the multipliers manually to look for ones that are outperforming. All right, so let's do 1x and last year, so the filter is up and running, and let's search something like Facebook ads. All right, so these videos here are all videos about Facebook ads. So you can see the multipliers right here next to the titles. So we want to look for ones that are, obviously the higher multiplier, the better, right? So this is kind of low. It's not even blue. So blue is between, I think, 2 to 3x. It'll turn blue like this. So this is not bad. Facebook ad hacks for fast results. Ad hacks, that might be the topic and the idea right there. Let's keep looking. Purple, looking better. 4.4, 4x, that's pretty good. Okay, here we have our first red multiplier, which means that it's greatly outperforming the average in that channel. So 19.4x right here, Facebook ads for real estate agents. Okay, so topic is Facebook ads, and the idea is for real estate agents tutorial. So that's what we're seeing right here. All right, so finding this big red multiplier here was the second step that we did just right here. Okay, so you're looking for outperforming videos that you can see yourself doing, videos with high multipliers, so the higher the better. And take a note of how the thumbnail looks like for future reference, and note the channel name. So one thing to be aware of is videos that perform only because of thumbnail and for some obvious reason of why the thumbnail is doing so well. Obviously, this doesn't apply for most people in most of your niches, but let's say you are a fitness instructor and you want to get fitness clients. When you do a lot of your search, you'll see things like this that are borderline explicit that, you know, clearly they're outperforming because the thumbnail is of a certain topic and theme, you know what I mean? Basically, a thumbnail like this could be on YouTube or some other more explicit sites. There's no way to say it better. You know, you get my point. Okay, there's a reason why this thumbnail is performing so well, even though the title is just workout stretching exercise. You know, based on common sense, it's probably the thumbnail that's doing most of the heavy lifting, no pun intended, and not this. Okay, cool. So step 3 of third-party research is you just have to do this one time in the very beginning so you can see how it actually works. But otherwise, after you do this one time, you can trust the platform that it's giving you the actual outperformer, okay? So let's note this channel's name, Pasi Putanen. So let's go into his channel right here. I actually have it opened. So now what we want to do is we want to find this video. This was released 9 months ago, as you can see right here. So let's find this video 9 months ago. You just click into this videos tab here and you scroll back. As you can see, this channel only has 2.53K subscribers. So let's scroll back. We're at 3 months. Keep scrolling. 7 months now. And where are we right now? Okay, here, 9 months ago. So this is the video that we're looking at. Now look at everything around it and see if this is actually an outperformer. Okay, so it's 340, 346, 291, 339, 149, 194, 709. Boom, 9.7K views. Okay, so this seems to be an outperformer. 1K, 2.5, 254, 220, 651. Here's also another outperformer. So it's Instagram for real estate agents. Again, it's a topic of real estate agents that you're seeing here that seems to lead to the outperformance. In this case, we're only looking at the Facebook ads because that's what our business does. But as you can see here, these two are outperformers, and that is our video right here, an outperformer, clearly by looking at the rest of the videos around it. All right, so now that you have that, the point of doing this was just to confirm that the video is actually performing well relative to the videos around it. So now you have a pretty good idea that it actually is an outperformer. So that was step 3. So the last thing to do to confirm that is you see if similar ideas to this video that are not on this channel are also outperforming in general. So go back to let's say I wanted to duplicate this tab. go back to this and Facebook ads for real estate agents. Okay, so real estate agents is the idea here, and Facebook ads, Facebook ads is the topic. So let's search Facebook ads for estate agents. So what we want to see is we want to see other videos that are also of a similar idea and similar title that are also outperforming. Okay, so this is our video right here. Let's see, Facebook ads for realtors, sure, 8.6, yep, that's a check in our favor. Facebook ads for realtors, 4.5, less than this, but still a check in our favor. Facebook lead generation ads for real estate agents, again, 4.7, a check in our favor. And this is the Instagram for real estate agents, 24.5, check in our favor. Okay, so as you can see here, it seems like it would appear that Facebook ads for real estate agents specifically as the idea and Facebook ads as the topic together as a title seem to be outperforming on many channels, not just this channel, right? It's outperforming on 3 channels here. So with that in mind, you can safely assume that your idea of Facebook ads for real estate agents, which you just found, is a relative outperformer on multiple channels and is a good idea that you should use for your video as well. All right? So congratulations, you have a potential viral idea just like that through a simple 4-step process using this third-party tool called 1of10.com, and you found yourself an outperforming potential viral idea. Now, all you have to do with that idea is you take that idea and you can either make an exactly same framed video. That's totally fine. Remember, YouTube is about inspiration. Everyone copies each other and gets inspiration from each other. And all you got to do is just add in your own elements, your own knowledge, your own creativity, and your own expertise in that topic to make the video different. But the idea and the title and the topic itself, yes, you can just borrow from someone else as well, right? It's a research-based game on YouTube. Now, a sneaky thing you can do that's not one-to-one copying is that you can take that idea and actually apply that idea to other topics that you have on your list. So for example, this is exactly what this guy did when he took the idea of real estate agents and applied it to Facebook ads as well as Instagram. Let's say you had another topic which was reacting to Facebook ads. You could do reacting to Facebook ads of the best houses for realtors, you know? So once you have the idea and the key wording around the idea, you can apply it to different topics you have on your viral topic list, right? So it's essentially the golden formula. You mix and match with the different topics that you have. Cool? That is how you do the first way of this, which is through the third-party research. Now, the second way of doing viral idea research is that you can use a dummy channel research, right? So the goal of this is to create a brand new YouTube account that targets your specific avatar, which you will then use to help you find ideas that are outperforming within your niche. Okay, the pros of this is that it's free. The cons is that it takes a lot more time and effort, obviously, because you're creating a brand new account. You're setting up the account properly. You're doing the necessary searches to make the algo think that you are the perfect avatar for it. It's more time consuming, it's easier to mess up, and it's less precise. So if those $50 for the subscription is something that is non-negotiable, this is a different way to do it. But let me actually full screen this now. So the dummy channel research, all right, this is how you do it. So you start with a brand new YouTube channel, do it in incognito to make sure no cookies affect it. The channel must be new and not repurposed. So meaning you'll probably need a brand new Google account as well, so the searches are fresh. Now, when I'm saying like you're going to create a brand new YouTube account, that doesn't mean that you have to start your YouTube channel from fresh. It just means that you just create this account just for research purposes, all right? So don't be scared. I'm not telling you to start a brand new YouTube channel, even if you have subs. All right, so the step 2 is on this new YouTube channel, you want to click on videos that your avatar would watch and watch the entire video, all right? So don't click on any videos that are not specifically in your niche that you could view your avatar watching. And if no videos are appearing, then you can search in the search bar something specific. So let's say you were a hedge fund and you want to get clients. So you would search, let's say no stock stuff is popping up immediately on your homepage. Then you search trading for beginners, for example, something like that. Now, I'm not saying you actually have to watch the entire thing. Just click on it. You can leave the room. You can just let it play by itself. But you want the algo to think that you are an active viewer watching the type of content that your avatar would be watching. So let's say, for example, I was a guy who was into like I'm a restaurateur and I help restaurants out their business. I give restaurants consulting advice. That's my business. So over here, I would click, this is probably not good for me. This is probably not good for me. Maybe something like this, or maybe something like this, worth it. Eating and rating TikTok's most viral NYC foods. Okay, yeah, that sounds almost perfect for my niche. Click on it, watch the whole thing, and see how that goes, right? So after you do that, then you watch more videos in your niche. So naturally what would happen is that after you watch this video, you're probably going to get some more recommendations in your sidebar like this. Boom, 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 boom. Pick the one that matches your niche, for example. I end this shrimp at Red Lobster for 10 hours, another restaurant-based video. Now, in each and every single video I'm watching, I'm engaging with them. So I'm liking it, I'm commenting it, I'm solidifying to YouTube that I am an active and engaged viewer for that specific niche. So for example, let's say, oh my God, so great, right? I like it. And I watch the next video that is related to my niche. Now, step 4 is you continue doing this process and repeating it until you start to see more and more of these videos pop up on your homepage in your niche, right? So you want to make sure that when these are popping up on your homepage, not to skip over that, because YouTube tracks that and is like, oh, I guess this person actually isn't that interested in that niche. So you want them to think you're the ideal viewer. So if you see it on your homepage, just click on it and watch it, all right? So over time, with more and more repetitions of this process, YouTube will think that you're more and more like your direct avatar, and they'll push the highest performing videos in your niche to you on the dummy channel. So that is where you find your viral ideas. So let's say you have a really high performing video in your niche pop up on your homepage. So you would watch that first of all, and then after watching it, click into the channel, very similar to what we were doing before. Find that video, scroll down, very similar to what we were doing with this guy. So find that video, scroll down, make sure that it's an outperforming video, and then you have one check in your favor, all right? So once you do that, you confirm it. So let's say I take this title, same thing, and then I go into my Google search, boom, punch that in, see these ones, click on them, make sure they're also outperforming as well. And the more channels where that title outperforms, the more likely that the idea is a viral idea as well. All right, so that is essentially how you do it. Fundamentally, it is the same thing as what you would do with 1 of 10. It's just that 1 of 10 puts it all in one place for you to see, as well as makes it very easy for you to find exactly how outperforming things are, and it just makes the process simplified, essentially that. But the fundamental premise of what you're doing is exactly the same, all right? Yeah, so let's say this is the video that we found on our homepage, Viral NYC Foods, Eating and Rating TikTok's Most Viral NYC Foods. As you can see on this channel, it's outperforming, right? 235 versus everything else. So perhaps this viral NYC foods idea is the outperforming idea. I have to go back and take this concept and search it in my YouTube search bar. And that's how I complete step 6, where I see if similar ideas to this video are also outperforming other channels. All right, the more data points you have, the more confident you can be. And congratulations, that's the second way of getting a potentially viral idea. All right, so again, same thing. You can just take that same idea and topic and run with that as well. Add in your own expertise, add in your own knowledge, and make a brand new video with that packaging. Or you can just take that idea and apply it to other topics in your niche that you have on your list. So basically what I was talking about, you borrow that idea and you mix and match it with the different topics that you have on your list to make a whole new video title. And that is essentially how you do it. So now we've got viral topics. You've got your whole list of viral topics. You've got viral ideas now that you're using the outperforming research to find. And together, these two things, you add them together and you can have viral titles. Add them together in your own creative ways, or you can use the exact titles that you found in 1of10.com. Both work, but now you've confirmed that the topic is good and you've confirmed the idea is good. And now we're moving on to the next part of what it takes to get viral packaging, which is making viral thumbnails. Okay? Remember, all this together is to reach the most amount of people possible, to get the most amount of breadth for your influential personal brand, and reach the most amount of people, which is a key critical part in the YouTube game. I know that was a lot of information I just covered, especially to do with the whole viral idea finder process. So if you have any problems and questions, make sure you guys use the YouTube Brand Launch community to get guidance and coaching from my team and I, and you can share your results from your research with others for feedback, give feedback to others as well, and connect with other members, business owners, professionals, and entrepreneurs that are out here doing the same thing as you and building their personal brand as well. Okay, so next up, we're going to be covering how to make viral thumbnails. So stay tuned for that and see you in the next lesson. All right, welcome back to YouTube Brand Launcher Program, where I help entrepreneurs, business owners, and professionals build a powerful and influential personal brand on YouTube. Okay, so this lesson is going to be about how to make thumb-stopping thumbnails, which is one of the key things to getting people to click into your video. Because a good title without a good thumbnail is a wasted title. Because what happens is that people see the thumbnails first, that draws their attention in, and then they click on the video after they read the title to see if it actually matches their interest and what they expected. So what we've covered so far in the previous lesson is how to come up with the complete viral title. So we covered both how to find viral topics, topics with high view ceilings, viral ideas that are outperformers now, and now we're going to be touching on how to create viral thumbnails so that we can get that viral packaging. And if you remember that we need viral packaging because we need to reach more people and make the YouTube algorithm happy. Because the more amount of people that click into our video, the more the YouTube algorithm will reward us by putting our video up on the home page of our avatar and get more of our avatar, people who we want to reach to click on our video, right? So we're still in this section here, how to get more people to click into our video. We're still working on packaging, but we've gone beyond the titling and now we're working on the thumbnail itself. So people often overlook their thumbnails because it's not necessarily required to be finished before we can get started with our video. If you think of it this way, before you can film a video, you gotta know what you're filming about, right? You gotta know what you're talking about in your video. You have to know the topic, you have to know the idea. So once you have those two things and you have a title in mind, you can actually get to the production of your video and start planning your video as well as filming it and editing it. And you might think, oh, we can just leave the thumbnail for after, because you can always just make the thumbnails after you make the videos. Now, that is the wrong mindset to have, because the thumbnail is arguably the most important part of your entire video's packaging. And if you do it well, it's a single thing that will lead to the greatest jump in views, okay? So this is essentially what I mentioned before. The title is what brings them into the video, but that's only after your thumbnail has already caught their attention. Thumbnail is extremely important. Just think about how fast you yourself scroll through your phone or scroll through your YouTube homepage. People are looking at thumbnails that catch their eyes, and then they're narrowing in on the titles after. So I hope that emphasizes how important your thumbnail is. If that wasn't enough, just take a look at a real life example. Like, for example, this grocery store might have the best food in the world, but if it looks like this, you're going to step into this one with a better appearance, right? So that's just a thumbnail thing. It's people judge other people and judge things on their appearance. We always judge a book by its cover, and the cover of your video is your thumbnail, all right? So this is a good example of what a bad thumbnail will do to video and what a good thumbnail will do to video. So these two are both pretty big channels. I'm sure you've known Ryan Trahan, one of the titans of YouTube. Mike Russell is not a small channel. I think it's in the millions, at least 1 to 2 million. So this guy's video, I got 2.1K views a year ago compared to 2 years ago, 331 million views, right? And they're both similar topics about the world's loudest room, but there is a huge difference in the thumbnail, all right? And I'll go to the exact reasons of why this thumbnail is not an effective thumbnail, why this one is. But you can see that a similar topic, both big channels. This video should not be underperforming at 2.1K views, all right? And like I said before, the thumbnail should be at the top of our mind all the time. We should be thinking about it even before the production of our video, not just because of the importance of it, but also logistically it makes sense. So for example, if you need to take pictures of yourself during the filming process, you should probably have that sorted out before and plan for that. Or if you're just taking a screen grab from the footage, are you going to rely on Photoshop AI when we take a thumbnail during filming, before or after? What do you need prop-wise to take the thumbnail? What are you going to look like in those pictures? What is your expression going to be? What are you going to try to convey in that as well? So all these things that you should have thought about already before the production of your video, because logistically it makes sense, right? Now, if you're worried about you can't make thumbnails, don't worry about that. There's many ways you can do it. You can always learn how to make it by using software like Photoshop, or just super easy online Canva subscription. Canva is the greatest thing of all time. It's just so easy to make graphics and thumbnails nowadays. But as we're all busy business owners and professionals, entrepreneurs, the best way probably is just to pay someone to do it for you. It's not expensive at all. You just find someone on Fiverr or Upwork, great value, $20-30 and get you like 4 or 5 thumbnails that you can test with, okay? or you can hire a full-time graphic guy to do it for you if you have someone like that in your organization. So don't worry about actually making the thumbnails and the technical element of that. I'm just going to teach you in this what makes a good thumbnail so that you can supervise the person who's doing it for you. So what makes a good thumbnail? 3 things: guiding, predictable, and builds expectation. What do I mean by that? Well, a good thumbnail is guiding. And the guiding, what that means is that when you look at it, it clearly guides the audience eyes to certain points where you want them to look at first glance. So the audience should know where to look at first glance, because if they don't know in a brief millisecond, they're going to be scrolling and their eyes are going to be looking at other things, other thumbnails on YouTube. So your thumbnail needs to capture their attention by having a very specific focal point. That's what I mean, right? Because if you don't have that focal point, people are going to be scrolling to another thumbnail from another creator that has a focal point. So for example, this one here by Alex Ramosi, a bit low resolution because I screenshotted it. So that's the reason why it's not actually this low resolution. I find for this one, I look at him first. I see who's talking to me, and then I look at the messaging behind what he's trying to say. So, but also, like, some people would say that they look at this first and then look at that. But the point is they're looking at something first and it's capturing their attention. It's not like it's just one blob where you see the thing, but it's hard to focus on one or the other, right? The point being is we're trying to capture people's focus in that thumbnail, which is why guiding is extremely important. Next, good thumbnails are predictable. So predictable just means the audience can reasonably predict what the video concept will be about, even without seeing your title. And the reason why is because it takes a lot of effort to read and interpret a title, whereas it's a lot easier to look at a picture and immediately come up with an association of what that video is going to be about. So for example, this video here, what do you think this video is going to be about? I'll give you a second. It's very clear that this video is about this Airbnb making $550K a year, or how this girl made $550K a year on Airbnb. One or the other. It's very clear it's about money and Airbnb, so that's what it means by extremely predictable. Third thing is that good thumbnails build expectation. So what I mean by that is that it sets an expectation in the audience's head of what they're going to see or learn by the end of the video. And it's very similar to what I mentioned about in the titling. And the reason for this is because the audience is drawn in by curiosity to find out if what they thought when they first saw the thumbnail will actually happen. Like I said before in the previous lessons, people really like to confirm what they think they know. So if it's for entertainment, what happens? I knew this was happening. That's exactly what I thought. People love saying that, right? For education, it's a bit more of a curiosity thing. What will I learn? No, this is exactly what I need. What will I learn? This is exactly what I need. Oh, I knew he would teach me this. So people want to confirm their own judgments and thoughts. And having a thumbnail that builds expectations is how you get the person to click in. So what I mean by that is, let's see this thumbnail right here. This is one of my videos from Canto Mando, my business partner. So as you can see here, it's $0 pointing to a bunch of things on the table. So the expectation that I'm building in the audience's head is that he is going to get all these things for $0. And then when they look at the title, it puts it all together. I pretended to be a food critic and this is what happened. So now it's like, oh, I'm expecting everything here to be $0. Now I want to find out if he is actually able to cheat his way into getting everything for free. So that's what I mean by builds expectations. There's an expectation set here that he's going to get everything for free. And the best thumbnails obviously have all of these combined. They should be guiding, predictable, and builds expectations. I should mention that the order of the where people look isn't necessarily that important. It's the fact that they have something to latch onto immediately, which leads them to go see something else and then go see something else. So it could be boom, 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 or it could be boom, boom, boom. Regardless, there's a clear focal point which captures the audience's eyes as they're scrolling. Second thing is that it's predictable. It's about a chef with sushi, and it's not real sushi. And the expectation is that this chef is going to like this fake sushi. That's the expectation I've built with this thumbnail. This thumbnail actually did very, very well. This video drastically outperformed. Was our best performing video in months. And I think it's currently sitting at a couple million views right now. So you've seen this before: creativity, research. Like everything on YouTube and everything in life, a lot of what is required is actually just research, and creativity isn't the most important thing. It's just the tip of the iceberg. It's good to have, but you can do everything you need with research, which means that you can find out which thumbnails are performing the best on YouTube with some research. Doing some thumbnail archetypes that are very typical of high-performing videos on YouTube, right? Different thumbnail archetypes work better for different niches, so you should do some research on what is performing well on your specific niche on YouTube and take a look at what those thumbnails are like. But let me just breeze through some of them so you know what are some typical thumbnail archetypes that you can use in your thumbnail creation as well. So the first one is Mr. Beast video. People who are very, very popular on YouTube, very famous, they do this type of thumbnail called the showcase. And what it is that you're just showing something so grand and remarkable, but not necessarily yet to the point where it's unbelievable. Because if it's unbelievable, people, they naturally assume that, this is just a fake thumbnail. They're not going to see this in the actual video, okay? So if you're thinking about from a business perspective, imagine someone sitting here with a big pile of money being like, I made this in 1 year. What draws the person in is the showcase of the money, of the thing that is very grand and remarkable. Okay, that's archetype number one, the showcase. Archetype number two, I call the blue balls. It shows some kind of action or event that is say, very, very close to happening, but you don't necessarily know if it'll happen or not. So you see, this is one of my friends who's a big YouTuber as well. You see this X here, this guy's about to punch it, but is he going to break the board? I don't know. Is he going to break his hand? I don't know. So it makes you want to see the result of that action event or what you think will happen. And keep in mind that this is not necessarily just for entertainment. For example, if you are like a services provider, let's say you're a dentist or a plastic surgeon, before the scalpel goes onto the body, that's a blue balls thing. Before that contraption thing enters the client's mouth, that's another blue ball thing. Or even if you're providing investing services for a customer, before the chart cuts off, is it going to go up or down? Is the portfolio going to go up or down? It's about making that picture, that visual where the person doesn't know what's going to happen next, but they're very close to knowing the answer. So that's called the blue balls. Next one is a contraster. This is used for a lot of before and after videos. So let's say like this guy's before he beat cancer, after he beat cancer. A lot of fitness influencers and fitness business owners use something like this, a skinny dude, a buff dude. It's used to show progression and transformation and the stark differences between two different situations. So take a look at this and see if this is something applicable for what your offering is for your business and what your content niche is. Text-based. So this is one that requires the audience to read a text in order to understand. It's very good for conveying concepts that you can't convey just from no text itself. For example, if he just had this face without text, it would make no sense, right? He just looks confused. So the text is necessary here to convey a more abstract point. Stop with passive income. So if your niche for your content is more difficult to convey just with pictures and visuals, then using text is often a good idea. The next one is icons. So it's focusing on something that is very widely known, that everyone can recognize it. So think about logos of famous brands that people might know, McDonald's, KFC, Popeyes, and Taco Bell here, or people that are famous and their faces are recognizable. So this is a winner of MasterChef Canada, the first season ever. So he's our friend. We use his picture here as well as the logos, double icons, so to speak. For example, let's say you're making your YouTube channel for real estate business purposes, and you're talking about the value of McDonald's real estate. It's a very, very good idea to use the big McDonald's logo because that's what people are familiar with and recognizable. Next up is the showdown, which is a versus thing between two or more different things or people on the screen. So it makes you curious about what the end result of who's the winner, essentially. It's a competition. There's the curiosity invoking element of that. We've got 3 cars here. For all you car guys, this is the age-old question. RS4, C63 AMG, or BMW M3? Which one are you going to go with? That's why it's the age-old question. I don't know. Personally, I'd go with the Audi. Don't hate me for that. Next one is the aesthetic shot. So usually this is used with a lot of tech car videos, something where if your business's offering requires you to be very clean, aesthetic vibe, maybe like art, maybe tech, those kind of services I can think of just off the top of my head, you want a very aesthetic looking thumbnail. So thumbnails like this are about nice photography, the setup and the framing of the shot. Next one is the raw shot. So a screen grab from your video showing a raw moment. It shows, often people use this to show a vulnerable moment of something that is moving in the moment. So this thumbnail is Alex Hormozzi's. The video was about why he always skips Christmas or something like that. So it's like, ooh, there's something raw and emotional about some guy, buff man, telling you about why he always skips Christmas. So the purpose of this is that it shows an authentic moment and is more geared towards the existing following of that creator. Because thumbnails like this makes it feel like that creator is about to be totally transparent and open with you and tell you all of their secrets. So when used properly, this can be very effective way of making thumbnails, the raw shot. And keep in mind that these are only just some thumbnail archetypes. There are way more out there and they keep evolving. new ones pop up, new ones start to trend, do better and better. So you just have to keep updated with what's working in your niche through research and checking out what the bigger channels in your niche are doing. But regardless, every single thumbnail archetype has those same 3 principles that I was talking about: guiding, predictable, builds expectation. So now I've given you a couple avatars. Where do you actually start when you're thinking about how to make your thumbnail? The good thing is that you have a very, very good starting position, because in your research, remember, for your research for your outperforming ideas that you did either on 1 of 10 or your YouTube dummy account, I asked you to note how those thumbnails were, right? And you can always go back to them and just see how those thumbnails were, but those videos performed so well not because of just the viral idea. That was half of it. The other half was their thumbnail was clearly working for them and contributing to the package overall to get them outperforming amount of views and a lot of breadth. Go back, take a look at those videos, look at those thumbnails, and you can even just use a similar thumbnail format for your own videos, since that was already confirmed to be good packaging by that previous video, okay? Again, like I said, don't worry about quote unquote copying other people. Everything is based off iterations, right? So we're taking inspiration from them and then making your own iterations. Your face is going to be in it. Maybe there's something else in the background. Maybe there's something different. So you can make some adjustments to the thumbnail and add in your own creativity if you feel like you need to spice it up a bit, all right? But that thumbnail you had there before for those outperforming videos, that's a great place to start. Couple more things about thumbnails is, first thing that people often overlook is that you need to make alternative thumbnails before you release a video, right? If you think about it, what are the odds that your first thumbnail that you make is the best possible one for your video? Statistically, that's low. Now, what are the odds that 1 out of the 4 thumbnails that you make will perform? So what you should be doing is you should be making 3 to 4 thumbnails in advance, and I have see which one you like best, but actually what you should do now is, because YouTube just released a brand new thumbnail tester, and it tests, like an A/B test, 3 thumbnails at once, and it shows your 3 different thumbnails to 3 different groups of people to confirm with data which thumbnail is best for your video. All right, so take advantage of this and make 3 different thumbnails, ideally from different archetypes so they're not too similar, but 3 varying thumbnails so you can use YouTube's new feature to test which thumbnail is best. So second thing about your thumbnails is that they need to be believable, all right? So the thumbnail needs to be something that the viewer thinks can actually happen, and not something so ridiculous to the point where they know it obviously cannot happen, because then they're not going to click on it and they're going to think you're just clickbaiting and a liar, right? So the pro tip is you want to be remarkable, be incredible, but don't be unbelievable. So if you look at these 2 videos here, the one on the left actually outperformed the one on the right. And the reason why is because look at this thumbnail here. Do you really think that this guy actually hopped on got a full astronaut suit and sent to Mars and started walking on it? Not a single person has walked on Mars in the history of mankind. All right, this is Elon Musk's noble goal in the future, but everyone with a brain is going to know that this is actually not true. This is totally fake. So this kind of turns me off and turns people off because they know this is fake. Whereas this one here is Blue Origin. And this is the space tourism thing that has been making big waves in the news, where you can take a flight to the orbit of space to go check it out. And it's like a tourism flight. So we all know that this is a real thing. This is believable. People respect that. This is unbelievable. People don't respect that. So make things that are incredible, remarkable, that's fine, but don't be unbelievable in your thumbnails. On to that point, clickbait but don't lie. So there's a big difference between clickbaiting and lying. Clickbaiting means making the best possible thumbnail title packaging and getting people to click on it. But if the audience watches your whole video and doesn't see exactly what you were hinting at in the thumbnail, or doesn't see anything even similar to it throughout the entire video, they'll know that you were lying with your thumbnail the whole time, right? So it's okay to make your video packaging as tempting as possible to click in, as long as it makes sense for the content you actually have. So for the video itself, you can't make a video about how you made $1 billion and you are hardly a millionaire in your business yet. That's lying, all right? But you can clickbait and be like 15 million if you actually have 15 million in the bank account, right? Or if you're projected to get 15 million. So no one wants to be sold something and not get it. So light clickbait is fine, hinting at things, exaggerating things, but don't straight up lie. That's the number 1 way to ruin your personal brand. Number 4 is add text when needed. So you should add text to your thumbnail when primarily the entire thumbnail relies on the text entirely, which means that the thumbnail is text-based and the text is the focal point, as in you can't convey the point of the video without the text. If the point is being conveyed already, don't just throw in random text as much as possible, because it really crowds the space and it can have negative effects if you just spam text on your thumbnail, okay? So use it when it's required. Next up, we have coloring for contrast. Now, what that means is that you want to use contrasting colors to bring out the elements that you want to highlight, all right? So you want to make sure that the important elements in your thumbnail are not blending into the background, and you want to draw your audience's eyes to these elements. So this is a Mr. Beast video, obviously entertainment, but the same principles apply if you're making videos for your business or for education as well. Ideally, for every single thumbnail, you want to draw people's attention into one thing. The reason why he made this baby red is because such a stark contrast between everyone else in the back blue. Imagine this baby wasn't here and it was just this girl here and it was the same blue shirt as well. She would just blend in with the background. I would just see him instead. But if the baby is red here, it portrays a different point that they're going to fight the baby, and that invokes my curiosity. So make sure you color for contrast to highlight the main points that you're trying to convey in your thumbnail. Number 6 is that spacing serves a purpose. So you want to make sure the elements in your thumbnail help to serve their intended purpose and not take away from it. If a place is empty or a place is full, it should be full or empty for a reason. So for example, here you have 41 minutes in, you see this guy in an orange jumpsuit. He looks like he wants to kill himself in the middle. And why is he here? It's a completely empty room. It makes it feel like he's trapped, maybe a prisoner or something. So all this emptiness actually serves a purpose in conveying the message. This was a video where I survived the world's loudest room. So it's like like a suffering video, a suffering entertainment video. And this empty space actually adds to that effect. Number 7 is you want to ask people, right? So remember, your thumbnail is supposed to get other people to click into your video. It's not meant to get you to click into your video because you're the one who made it. So it's always a good idea to run polls, talk with the community in YTBL, get general advice, ask people if that thumbnail looks intriguing to them, and then apply the tips and feedbacks from others and give your own as well to other people who are asking for advice. Remember, don't forget the concept that your thumbnail is supposed to attract other people and not just be an aesthetic thing that you're proud of that you planned or made yourself. Again, I think I mentioned this before. If you can't make thumbnails, it's no big deal at all. Hire someone to do it for you. The whole point of this was just to tell you what makes a good thumbnail so you can make sure that they build this, all right? And I did make a resource for you for this one. It's called the Thumb-Stopping Thumbnail Checklist. It's a very simple checklist that I've attached to the bottom of this video. So make sure you guys use that when you're making your thumbnails. Just check through to make sure that all the elements are there, and it will be really helpful for you to make some really good thumbnails. So we just covered this here right here, the viral thumbnail. So when you make a really good viral thumbnail and you have the elements, the ingredients to make a really good viral title, these two things come together to make viral packaging. And that's exactly how we get more people to click into our videos. Viral title, viral idea, which establishes what the concept of your video is going to be about and your title, as well as the front image, the cover of the book that will get people to click into it. That's your viral thumbnail. So with these two things together, we've been able to make as many people click into our videos as possible. And with the YouTube algorithm happy, they'll be pushing our videos out to the homepages of more people, which means that we'll be able to expand our personal brand's influence through breadth. Again, I covered a lot in this video. Make sure you guys, if you're stuck on anything, get guidance and coaching from the YTBL community. That's where my coaches and I will be. Share your results to others for feedback, give feedback to others to help, and also use the community because it's extremely valuable. There's a lot of other business owners, entrepreneurs, members there who are on the same journey as you, and you guys can help each other out as well. Next up, we'll be talking about how to plan videos properly to retain the most amount of people watching the most amount of your video, okay? That's video planning up next. Stay tuned. Welcome back to YouTube Brand Launch, the program where I help entrepreneurs, business owners, and professionals build a strong and influential personal brand on YouTube. So in the last lesson, we covered what makes a thumb-stopping thumbnail. In lessons before that, we talked about the viral title and the two parts of the viral title, the viral topic and the viral idea. So altogether, that makes the packaging of the video. So now let's get into how to actually plan the video itself to make the best video possible, okay? First, let's talk about the goal of video planning. So we have to know what we're trying to achieve, first of all, before we can actually achieve it. So the goal of video planning is not to plan how to make an entertaining educational video, not to plan how to educate more people about your business, not to plan how to get people to know me better, not even to plan how to tell a good story. The whole point of video planning is keep the viewer watching as long as possible. If you accomplish this thing, all those other things before right here will naturally be accomplished. Because if someone stays and watches your video till the end, it's guaranteed that they're going to find it entertaining, going to find it educational, or they're going to be educated about your business. You've told a good story. Otherwise, people would just click out. So this is the ultimate goal that we're shooting for. Keep the viewer watching as long as possible. And this is also the ultimate goal in YouTube's perspective as well, the platform. So what we have here is what I like to call the YouTube algo pyramid. And I pulled this from my YouTube studio, which is the creator side of YouTube where you post your videos eventually. And what this tells is the different things that YouTube values. It works from the top here and narrows down into this here at the very bottom. But let's start from the top, all right? So this is impressions. This is the amount of people who have seen your video, including the amount of people who have seen and clicked on it and actually watched it. So this also includes people who saw your video exists but doesn't click on it, but didn't click on it, and they just skipped over it. So that's impressions. And then 4.6% click-through rate. This is the amount of people who saw your video and clicked on it to actually watch it. And this is the amount of views from the impressions. So the total amount of people who actually clicked into your video and watched it. And then one below that, we have the average view duration. So these people for this specific video watched an average of 7 minutes and 6 seconds of the video for 278K people. And that leads us to the very, very bottom of the YouTube algo pyramid, which is watch time from impressions in hours. So the total amount of time people spent on YouTube in the aggregate watching my video. So if YouTube is going to put this at the very bottom, watch time from impressions, hours, as the final metric in the YouTube algo pyramid, what that tells you is that YouTube is valuing this as the single most important thing. And it makes sense because YouTube is a business. They need viewers to see the ads to make money. And those ads that play at the beginning of videos, in the middle of videos, the end of videos, that's how YouTube makes money as a platform. So your job as a creator, and well, you're a business owner, but you're making videos on YouTube, your job is to keep people watching as long as possible on your videos so that YouTube can be happy, they can continue making money, and you can continue building your personal brand into a strong and influential one. So what you don't want is you don't want people dropping on your videos, because that means viewers can't watch the ads that pays YouTube, which means they're not going to recommend your video because they want to make more money. The world revolves around money. Yeah, exactly. If YouTube doesn't make money, then YouTube is not going to be happy, right? So that is why how long people watch our videos, aka the retention of your video, is the second part of this YouTube algorithm formula. The first part was how many people click into our video, meaning how many eyeballs we can get on our video, people can click. And the second part is how long people actually watch the video. So this is 100% related to your video planning, all right? So if you plan your video properly, you can get people to watch your videos for longer. Together, if you accomplish these two things, the YouTube algorithm is going to be very happy with your video, and it'll be a positive feedback loop where they keep pushing your video to more and more people. If you think of this way, I've shown this one, the YouTube algorithm formula, in the previous couple lessons, but this is honestly exactly the same as the pyramid, because this pyramid is how many people see your video, which is determined by your topic and your idea, how many people click into it, which is also determined by your topic idea, but also your thumbnail now, right? So that's how many people you can get to click into your video from this section here. And then this is how long people watch your video for. So the combination of these two things, well, technically the first part leads into the second part, but ultimately the combination of these two things is what YouTube wants as a business and what YouTube wants from you, all right? So yes, it's not immediately evident, but the longer people watch your video for is directly related to how many people watch your video. So YouTube video planning is related to breadth, but however, it is also related to depth. In fact, probably even has a bigger impact on depth, because in order to make an impact on people, people need to actually watch you, not just know you exist or see you. The longer they watch you, the more personal brand depth you'll also have with them, because the longer the interaction you'll have with them, and you'll be able to make these connections and provide them value, as well as connect with them and relate with them as people. So this is related to Google's 7-11-4 rule that we talked about before, 7 hours required of people watching you. And like I said, YouTube is the best platform to achieve that, because it's the only platform where people expect to watch longer form social media videos. But that's only the case. You can only accomplish that if your videos retain people for the longest amount of time as possible. So that's your personal brand depth, right? So maximizing how long people watch your videos for, aka the retention, is the single most important thing you will do on YouTube that will increase the strength and influence of your personal brand. And because it hits both breadth and depth, both of these things is achieved by increasing your watch time on your videos. Another way to think of this is just making a great product. So think of it separately from your business for now, okay? So when you're creating videos on YouTube for your business, your product is actually your videos for the people watching. And then through that, they'll find your other product and service, which is your overall business. Everyone knows the best way to create loyal fans and get the most amount of people is just to create a great product, like the first iPhone here, right? There's no better marketing to reach more people in a deeper way than having just a great product. And there's no better way to develop loyal customers than having a great product. This is the single thing on YouTube that will lead to the highest return, which means it will also lead to the highest return for your personal brand as well. All right, so now the importance of video retention has been established. Now let's talk about how we actually maximize our video's retention. All right, so now the importance of video retention has been established. Now let's talk about how we actually maximize our video's retention. So we do this through using the video retention blueprint. Now what this does is that it makes your video very difficult to click out of mid-video. And it works regardless of video type and your niche, so it could be education, entertainment, face, no face, whatever your niche is, whatever your business is, it's applicable to everybody. And it's not affected by what your niche is. However, even though it's not affected by what your niche is, there are still nuances to this. So do your own research and apply the specifics for your specific niche. So why does it work? All right, this is based on human psychology, which is universal. I'm sure you've seen all of these different story plots before. Perhaps you have, perhaps you haven't, but they're just very complicated ways of talking about how you should tell a story to keep people in there. If we don't use any of this stuff here, this is way too complicated. And frankly, this is outdated, okay? It's used to write books. It's used to for movies, things that people are already invested in once they start reading it or once they start watching in the movie. Like you're paid for the ticket, you're not going to leave halfway. Whereas on YouTube, there's no barrier to clicking out of somebody's video. You're constantly bombarded with different content from different creators, even as you're watching that existing content you're watching. You know what I mean? Like on the sidebar, you have all these recommendations. It's just way easier to click out of videos midway. So all these things that you've heard of don't work, all right? Let me just give you the simplest components, absolutely no BS. This is the video retention blueprint. All it is an intro, which is further broken down in 3 parts, I'll explain later, a body, and a payout. This is literally all you need to do well to keep people in your YouTube videos for as long as possible. So let's talk about the intro first. So first of all, every video has an intro regardless of whether or not you plan for it or not. Because we should not be thinking of the intro from our perspective as the video creator. We should be thinking of it as from the viewer's perspective as the viewer. What it is the portion of the video where the viewer clicks in and decides whether or not it's worth their time to continue watching. And this is a process that happens either consciously or subconsciously every single time someone clicks into a YouTube video. So regardless of whether or not you plan for there to be an intro, in the viewer's eyes, there is an intro. All right, so this is the most important part of the video. Think about the 80-20 rule. I'm sure you've heard of it before. 20% of the things you do will result in 80% of your success. Building your personal brand is one of them. So not only is that true, but 80% of the people who will drop out of your video will also come in this 20% of your video. Actually, even less than 20%. It's actually just about 30 seconds or so, right? Because most people will drop out here in the intro if you don't do it well. This is the intro graph that's very typical of a lot of YouTubers, actually. So you'll see people come in at about 100% and just falls off a sheer cliff down to like 40% or 30% within the first 5 to 10 seconds. And this is very typical because the easiest time to lose someone is the very beginning. So what we need to do is make it as difficult as possible for people to click out in these first 30 seconds, because once you get past these first 30 seconds, generally what happens is view charts usually base out like this. So the amount of people you lose from here all the way to here is a lot smaller than this big drop at the beginning. That's how most YouTube videos work and most viewer patterns. So these are the 3 different parts of your intro. You have a hook, a setup, and a primary goal. And instead of telling you exactly what these things are from a literal sense, I'm going to tell you the purpose of each of these things so that allows you for flexibility to make them in a way that's true to you and your style, all right? All that matters is as long as the purpose is accomplished, your hook is a good hook. Your setup is a good setup, and your primary goal is a good primary goal. The purpose of the hook, this is usually within the first 5 seconds or so, is to convince them to stay in the video. The purpose of the setup is to confirm that they're staying for the right reason. And the purpose of the primary goal is to give them a reason to stay for the rest of your video. And all 3 of these things will be established in the first 30 seconds. Let me get into the specifics. Okay, so the hook's purpose, like I said, is to convince them to stay. And the way to do this is to confirm your packaging. So think about this as you see a bag of chips, and on the front is just the delicious looking, crunchy, flavorful, colorful chip in the front, right? So let's say you open the bag now, and the first thing you're going to do is take a look at that chip and see if it actually matches your expectations from the packaging. Now, I'm not saying that if it doesn't, you throw the entire bag of chips out, but for YouTube, remember, there's infinite alternatives. There's infinite options for you to just click out in the middle of the video, or even before the video starts, and go watch another one and see if that one matches the packaging, so you don't feel cheated or tricked, right? So you must confirm the packaging in that sense. This is a catfish. I like to use this other example of dating, you know, like if you've ever been catfished on a date, so you see their picture, you know, online, and then you meet them in person, and then all of a sudden they don't look like what they're supposed to look like, what you expected. How do you feel? Just think about how you feel. You feel cheated, you feel lied to. Don't catfish your audience. You must confirm your packaging with your hook. That is the single most important thing that will lead to you convincing them to stay. Now, normally most YouTubers who are not business owners don't have to do this. But because we are business owners, we are professionals, and if we're to make a video where we proclaim in the title or thumbnail in any way, this is how you accomplish what I accomplished, for example. Like, this is how you build a strong personal brand on YouTube. This is how you make 50% returns year over year. This is how you keep your teeth clean. All these different things. This is how you get 5 times return on ad spend if you're running Facebook ads. Let's say any of these claims that you make in the title or thumbnail, the first thing you have to do as business owners, and you have to blend this into the hook, is to provide proof and credibility. Because if someone clicks into that video and there's no immediate proof that you are someone who is capable of making this claim and actually helping them, then why would they trust you? And they've only given you like 5 seconds to make you trust them, but that should be enough. You know, you need to be able to make the person trust you with proof and credibility first in your hook. And that is especially important if you have a smaller channel and you're just starting out on YouTube at the beginning, because if you have 5 million subs, you know, you already have a level of credibility that people can just look at your subs and know that you're not a bullshitter, right? Whereas if you're a very tiny channel and you're making some claims about what you did outside of YouTube, you need to provide that proof and credibility first in your hook to get people to trust you and stay. That is actually a very, very key element. So you can see how I did it in this video that I posted on my channel. This is a breakdown of one of the frameworks that I use for my videos. So you can see here.
Getting over 1.1 million subs, 210 million channel views, and making over $500,000 on my main YouTube channel, if there's one thing I learned about YouTube success, is that there's a clear formula to make this work.
The point of this video is I'm telling people the formula to grow on YouTube from 0 subs. Now, this was posted on my secondary, smaller YouTube channel. So if I don't establish the fact that I actually do have another channel where I've achieved 1.1 million subscribers, over 200 million channel views, then people are going to be like, this guy has 5K subs. Why is he trying to teach me about how to grow on YouTube? That doesn't make sense. He's probably a bullshitter or a liar, right? So that's why I made it a very, very important point to actually
subs, 210 million channel views, and
give proof and credibility first at the very beginning of my video to get people to stay. So that's a very, very critical thing that you have to remember as a business owner making videos on YouTube. So after that, we'll talk about the hook upgrades. Now, these are just things that will make your hook even better, but it's not totally necessary. It's just better to have. Think of these as feelings that you want to make the person feel. So intrigue is one of them. You want something that will make the viewer curious to know the answer of. It doesn't need to be literally you saying that and you bringing up that question. It can be that it's often a good thing. But you can also try to accomplish this with a preview clip from later in your video that shows an interesting part of your video. And the second thing is extravagance. So what this does is that it shocks people to the point where they actually stay to see if that actually happened. For example, let's say you show your bank account, your business's last year revenue bank statement, and it's at $100 million. And if the title was how to make $100 million on Facebook ads, then that both gives intrigue and also gives extravagance, because wow, is this actually true? Is this really possible? And not only that, it also proves your credibility. Essentially, these are extra things, extra feelings that you want to give the audience that makes them more likely to stay for your video. So here's another video example by Alex Hormozi. So this is my evidence-based guide to making money online. I just want you to watch the first 10 seconds of this video so you can see all the different things that he did that I just mentioned before.
I've grown my brand to over 10 million subscribers across all platforms. And in this video, I'm going to break down by tier which of these platforms has the highest potential for making you money with my real up-to-date stats and where I'm investing for the next year.
So as you can see from the very first second, the first thing that you see is the tier chart on the right, and then the piece of paper where he writes stuff on the left, and all these different social media icons that he's about to put on the tier list. So that immediately confirms the packaging, because I came in expecting a tier list, right? I came in expecting to see a tier list of these social media platforms being rated. And he's clearly shown me that's exactly what he's going to do. The second thing that he did in the very first second is that he provided proof and credibility. All these different pop-ups and everything.
I've grown my brand to over 10.
Boom. All these different things, 941K, 2.6, 2.9 million, all these different things here, all these different pop-ups. And even this purple thing that just popped up right here for like a brief millisecond, that also proves him as who he says he's to be and provides credibility. So he's done already these two main things already. And the second thing is that he's talking about 10 million on YouTube, 250 million portfolio revenue down here. Like, all that's extravagant. And the intrigue is, okay, so what is going to be the best one? So he's accomplished all 4 of these things, all 2 of the main things plus 2 of the enhancers already. The upgrades. This is a picture perfect intro. It does everything that is to be expected of an intro. And from a viewer's perspective, I want to see more. You know, I would stay to watch the rest of this. Well, at least until the setup. So let's talk about the setup. So the setup is the part immediately after the hook. Oh, I should mention, by the way, the hook, there's no specific time duration that you need to have or it should be stay under, as long as everything you're doing in the hook is contributing to that purpose. And once you've accomplished that purpose of getting people to stay and confirm the packaging, providing proof and credibility, then you should be moving on to the setup. But there's no set time for this. All you need to know is that you should accomplish those things. Now for the setup, again, there's no set time for this, but it comes immediately after the hook. The point of the setup is to confirm that they're staying for the right reason, right? So what you should be doing here is you should be matching their expectation to reality. A lot of times you'll see sometimes the hook and the setup blend together. So as long as the job of confirming to people that they're staying for the right reason is accomplished, that's all you need for the setup. All right, so the setup must-haves. It should show and not just tell. And what that means is that, you know, it should show what to expect from the video instead of telling people. So you'll notice from Alex Hormozi in that previous little clip I showed you, the 10-second clip, he showed the tier chart. He showed the different icons of the social media platforms. He didn't just say, I'm going to be ranking a tier list. There's no tier list behind him. He doesn't have social media icons. But by showing all these things, he's showing and not telling. Look, sometimes you watch videos with no sound. Even if you did watch it with sound, it's that visual confirmation that will get people to be like, oh, okay, I'm actually staying for the right reason. I'm actually getting what I expected when I clicked in this video. Visual action, keep them visually stimulated. Yes, some YouTubers use this as like an ADHD thing or just pop a million things on screen, but they're onto something, you know? You want to visually stimulate the viewer as much as possible in a normal, not crazy way, because it makes it harder for them to click out because constantly new information is being brought onto the screen where they need to pay attention to. It gets them onto the flow and continues onto the next part. All right, the third thing that the setup must do is that it has to establish a character. Either it establishes who you are, or if you're making a video where you're, you know, showing someone else, showcasing someone else, it wants to establish who they are, the different characters in the video. So you'll also see that Alex Hormozi, he established himself as the character, but by doing that, he also provided proof and credibility. So these are things that the setup must have. So if we watch that video again, you'll notice that the hook and the setup really blend together here. So the hook was the first, technically.
I've grown my brand to over 10 million subscribers across.
There. I've grown my brand over 10 million subscribers across, 5 platforms, whatever he said. Technically, that is the hook. But it really blends into the setup, which is the next part here, which is right here.
Across all platforms. And in
Right
this
here.
video, I'm going to break down by tier which of these platforms has the highest potential for making you money with my real up-to-date stats and where I'm investing for the next year. So let's start with TikTok.
And in this video, I'm going to break down by tier which of these platforms has the highest potential of making money online. So that is the setup. It confirms exactly that I'm staying for the right reason. I expected to see a tier chart being made. And he just told me that in this video, he's going to make exactly what I expected. He's going to make a tier chart with all the different social media platforms, but ranked by which one is best for making money online. Okay, so he matched my expectation to reality. You know, he confirmed that I'm staying for the right reason. I'm actually going to get what I'm going to get, all right? And his setup had all 3 of these things. It showed, like it had the tier charts in the background, it visual actions. There's that bar across the bottom that shows the different social media icons, and it already established his character in the hook, right? So that is the setup there. So he's got a perfect setup, hook and setup. He's basically done it all together in just less than 10 seconds. Great job. Now let's talk about the last part of the intro. The last part of the intro is the primary goal. So this is the singular reason that makes them, the viewer, want to stay until the end. And this is almost as important as the hook. This is very, very short, like probably like just a couple seconds, 2-3 seconds. But the value of this is so important because it sets up the audience something to look forward to. This thing they look forward to is going to be the final payout at the very, very end of the video, but it keeps them watching through the entire video, all right? Just a heads up, it doesn't actually have to be achieved by the end of the video. You can actually fail at that. Like, you know, if you're running an experiment and, you know, it turns out that you weren't able to do it by the end of the video. But the point is that you're establishing that goal in the primary goal part of the intro, because that's what's going to keep people watching for the entire video all the way until the end. All right, so the primary goal must be a couple things it has to be. It has to be hyper-specific, tangible, and envisionable. What I mean by hyper-specific, the viewer knows exactly or not if the primary goal has been accomplished by the end of the video. The worst thing you can do is make a very vague goal where the viewer, by the end of the video, they think back to the intro and they're like, wait a second. So did he do it or did he not do it? It feels like a cop-out, like a cheat. So make sure it's very, very specific. Tangible is something that can be felt and seen and not just something abstract. Like, am I going to feel happy by the end of the video? Who the heck knows? Like, who knows? Like, I can't tell. Whereas, am I going to make $100 million by the end of the video? If you show me a bank account and you have $100 million, then great, tangible. I see it, right? And accomplishing the primary goal should easily be envisionable, right? So it's something that the average person has experience with in order to imagine. So it can't be something like, oh, will I achieve enlightenment? Like, who, how? It's not easily envisionable. It's not a easily imaginable thing by the average person. Don't even know what it means. Also not tangible and not specific. So just make sure that your primary goal that you establish in your intro is hyper specific, tangible, and envisionable. More must-haves is that it needs to be significant. So it needs to be something that the audience actually cares about, first of all, and as expected. So it can't be totally random, which is why it needs to be something related to your packaging as well. So let's go back to this video and see what that very, very specific primary goal that will keep you watching for the end of the video is.
I've grown my brand.
It's like the 10th time I've watched this intro with you.
Over 10 million subscribers across all platforms.
Hook.
And in this video, I'm going to break down by tier which of these platforms has the highest potential for making
All
money
set up.
with my real up-to-date stats and where I'm investing for the next year. So let's start with TikTok.
Did you get that? Very subtle. And where I'm investing.
Has the highest potential for making you money with my real up-to-date stats and where I'm investing.
He adds in the and where I'm investing for the next year. So that is the key primary goal. So you're staying to see obviously, first of all, the results of the primary goal through the results of the tier list, but as well as to figure out these results are going to determine where he's investing his time for the next year. As a viewer, you're probably going to be like, oh, well, if this business mogul, Alex Hormozi, is investing his time in this for the next year, I should be investing my time in that year as well. So the primary goal is to, in many ways, it's to finish the tier list as well as to find out where Alex Hormozi is investing his time in the next year. And by the way, I'm just going to spoil it for you because it's important for you guys to know. What he ranks as the highest social media platform, S tier, the best way to make money online, YouTube, as you can see for yourself, which is why it's a good thing that you're in this program, because this is going to lead you to building an influential and strong personal brand so that you can accomplish the things that he's doing. And YouTube is the best platform for you to be on, as you can see yourself, not just coming from me, from Alex Hormozi as well. TikTok is F, so don't even waste your time there. So with that, you have an intro for retention. You've got the hook that confirms the packaging. You've got the setup that confirms that the audience is staying for the right reason. And then the primary goal, which sets up the thing that the audience is looking forward to for the rest of the video. These three things, generally, as you saw from the example there, he did it in like 10 to 15 seconds. Something around there is good. 20 seconds, 15 seconds, 15 to 30 seconds is generally good. You just want to make sure that you accomplish all three of these things, because that's what's going to lead people to not drop out of a video and get them into the next part, which is your body. So now that you've gotten your people here to the beginning of your body, the goal now is to get the audience to stay until they find out if the primary goal from the intro was accomplished. All right, so the primary goal was made here, somewhere right here at the intro, and your body, you need to get them all the way to the end where the was the primary goal accomplished. Now it seems more daunting, but it's actually not, because as you saw from my chart before, the retention chart, it actually really bases out in the body. So it's not too hard to keep people to watch through the entire body once you've got them through the intro. The best way to do this is to break the body down into structured segments. Now, what is a structured segment? It's basically a smaller segment within the body that has its own mini goal. This is to keep viewers interested and engaged while we work towards the bigger goal. So do you remember when we talked about the primary goal at the very beginning? Yeah, so that is the thing that we're working towards the very end. But within the body itself, if we break it down to these smaller structured segments, each of these structured segments has a smaller goal, which is either achieved or failed. And well, it's regardless whether it's failed or achieved, it's as long as it's resolved, because these resolutions create what is called small wins. And small wins is what makes people stay throughout the entire video. So if you look at it here, the primary goal is made right here. This is a good illustration of it. You have segment 1, you've got a mini goal within the segment 1, whether it's resolved or not, mini goal within segment 2, whether it's resolved or not, mini goal within segment 3, whether it's resolved or not. At the end, you're going to find out, was the primary goal accomplished? So don't worry about the number of structured segments. That actually depends on your specific topic and idea of your video itself. So as long as you remember to break your body into these smaller structured segments, that's what you'll need to get people to watch through your entire video. So if you think of it from the example I was just giving, each time one of those social media icons was taped onto the tier list, that was the end of a structured segment. So he goes like TikTok section, Instagram section, LinkedIn section, email section, Facebook section, YouTube section. Each time he goes through one of these social media platforms and he ranks them on the tier list, that's the resolution of that smaller structured segment. All right, so let's take a look at the structured segments guide. So each structured segment, like I said, has to have its mini goal of its own. So what that means, what is the audience going to find out at the end of that segment? You want to make sure that mini goal is either fulfilled or failed at the end of the segment, as long as it's resolved, right? And these form your small wins. And the third thing is that mini goals must be related and working towards the primary goal of your video. It can't just be a random thing. An example before, ranking those different social media platforms by how profitable they'll be making money online. Like, you can't have a structured segment where all of a sudden he talks about brick and mortar sales and whether or not that's a good idea. That's completely unrelated to the actual primary goal of the video. So each of these mini goals should be related to the primary goal. Another thing to note is that the mini goal cannot be larger than the primary goal. Generally, this is self-explanatory and naturally the case. So you'll rarely ever find a case where you're like, oh shoot, my mini goal is larger than my primary goal, because usually your mini goals are always working towards your primary goal. All right. An important thing to do is to bring the focus back to the primary goal before you start the next structured segment, to remind people that the big payout is coming. So for example, let's say he's just finished ranking Facebook on that tier list. So for example, he can say, oh, Facebook is ranked A tier. Will anything reach S tier? Or is this going to be the best platform in the tier list? For example, something like that will bring the viewer's attention back to remembering the final primary goal, which is, oh, we're here to see the entire tier list, to see what the ranking is, and to see what Alex Hormozi will be investing his time in for the next year. Another quick illustration, mini goal is brought up at the beginning of the primary goal. This is within a structured segment itself. You go through the process, and then your mini goal concludes here, and then you bring back to the primary goal before you start your next mini goal, before you start your next structured segment, sorry. So tech videos do this a lot. You'll see structured segments and mini goals within each segment here. Example I gave you, he ranked TikTok. That's one section. He ranked YouTube. That's one section. He ranked X. That's one section. Another example, this is a Mr. Beast video, $10,000 every day survive in the wilderness. Building shelter was one section. Fish catching was one section. Fighting between two people was one section. Can they build shelter? Can they catch fish? Can they resolve problems? So that's these mini goals within the video itself. Now, coming up with structured segments. The easiest way to do this is to write down all the steps that need to happen in order to fulfill or fail the primary goal. So for example, to cook pizza, you need to make dough, you need to add toppings, and then bake the pizza, and then probably try the pizza at the very end. For ranking tier lists, you have to rank TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. For teaching people how to trade stocks, you need to teach them the setup, you need to teach them the movement of the stock, the pattern, and then the execution. Dentistry, I don't know, whatever business you're running, I'm sure with your expertise, you can break down the final primary goal into smaller structured segments. And then you want to narrow down the most important steps that are also specific, tangible, and envisionable. So these will become the mini goals of your structured segments. Again, like I said, the exact number of structured segments depends on your video and your topic and your idea. Make sure these mini goals don't exceed your primary goal, and then write out how to complete the mini goal. So this is what's going to be happening within your structured segment. That's like the nitty-gritty part of inside the structured segment. And just like that, you've got a body for retention. So that's all you need to do is just break that body down to smaller structured segments, have individual goals for those, and work your way towards the final primary goal. Now we're at the final part, which is the payout. Now, if you notice, a lot of the previous story structures that I said are obsolete. They have this part, which is the conclusion, which goes like rising action, climax here, and then boom, the conclusion down to here, right? So you might be asking, what about the conclusion for this video retention blueprint? My question for you is, what are your viewers staying for? Take a look at this retention graph from one of my earlier videos that I released on my channel back in like 2018 or so. And take a look at this part right here, the conclusion, all right? So you can see the intro was good, didn't fall off too hard. It based pretty well through the entire part. And then all of a sudden it starts declining. And by the time the end of the video, the watch percentage was around 4%. 4%. And what this did, this outro here, this conclusion, dragged my average view percentage down from probably, it would have been in at least 45, down to 32.7%. Now, when YouTube sees this, they don't know it's because I added a conclusion and people were clicking out. They just thought it was because my video is shit, so they start penalizing this video. So what I'm saying is that by adding a conclusion at the end of your video, people will click out, and this will ruin your average percentage viewed, will ruin your video's retention percentage. The reason why is because, remember, people click into your video, they watch the intro, they get established a primary goal. So now they watch the rest of this body waiting for that primary goal to be resolved. But once you resolve that primary goal, which in this video was right about here, what else are they staying for? They have absolutely nothing to stay for after that. So naturally, what will they do? They'll click out. And this is what happens when you have a conclusion on YouTube. Quit while you're ahead. Every gambler ever. The problem is that people get people to all the way here and they don't quit. And then their retention just tanks. People start leaving. So hear it from me first, you do not need a conclusion on YouTube. In fact, it's actually a better idea to not have a conclusion altogether. Give them the thing that they've been waiting for and end it. Because what that will do is they'll end on a high note and then hopefully they'll go watch another one of your videos, right? You don't want them to end on a low note like this because not only does it harm your retention for this video, it also harms the likelihood of them watching your next video after they finish this video. Like I said before, just a quick reminder, your primary goal doesn't actually need to be successful. Obviously, for the example I gave you where he's ranking the tier list, obviously, if he is not successful at finishing the tier list, I'd be like, WTF. But if you're doing something like, so let's say your business is teaching drop shipping and you wanted to run an experiment where to see if you can make $100,000 by the end of the first month and you don't accomplish that, well, that's okay because you don't have to actually accomplish that. You just have to get to the end of 1 month, show the results, and that's enough for the audience to be like, okay, the primary goal is accomplished. You know, the primary goal was not to see you make 100,000. The primary goal was to find out if you would make 100,000. As long as you fully address your primary goal at the end, including showing everything through the journey in the body and show the final result, that's enough for your primary goal to be considered resolved, right? So people won't feel cheated. They won't feel like you clickbaited them into watching the whole video. And that is the video retention blueprint. That's every single thing you need to keep people watching from the very beginning, the first second of your video, all the way until the very end. All right. So make sure you guys use the video retention blueprint planner that I made for you. It's actually linked below in this video and throughout this entire lesson. That's how you plan videos to maximize retention on YouTube. And the last thing you need to do is just to plan the nitty gritty. And what I mean by this is the exact words and the sentences that you'll say in your video. So there's many ways that you can do this. It depends on your personality and whether or not you are a good speaker in front of camera and whether or not you can go by the fly a lot. Naturally, you'll get better the more YouTube videos you make. But let's say you're just starting out and you don't want to wing it, so to speak, all right? So you can plan exactly down to the exact word in your scripts. It takes more time up front, but you can deliver content more precisely and you can make sure you don't forget anything as well. And for something like this, you would use a teleprompter. I'll get into the equipment in the next lesson, but this is one way of planning your videos, plan down to the exact wording in your scripts. The second option is you only plan the scenarios and not the script itself. So basically, you're like, okay, I'm making a video on how to maximize RO, return on ad spend, on Facebook ads, let's say. And then you just talk from expertise, talk from experience, talk from your stories, and you can do it this way as well. Or the best way I would say is to do a mix of both. So you have overarching bullet points and some key lines and key places that will help you guide you through your entire script process and your entire video. And then you can wing the rest based on your expertise in that field. And the last thing to talk about in planning your video is planning on the best way to deliver your message. So this is actually more related to the next lesson, but I should cover it now just to get started. So there's two types of videos on YouTube, essentially. You can do set-based videos, one where you create a set, you talk in front of a camera, or multiple sets throughout the entire video. These are generally easier to film and easier to deliver information. I find this is the better way to make videos as business owners. But if you want to be more creative in that way as well, you can also do a run and gun style where your camera is being handheld, either selfie style or someone films you. You can think of this a lot like the entertainment YouTubers use this a lot. Vlogging, for example, is an example of running and gunning. Or you can just do a mix of both on your channel as well. You know, I find this is more difficult to do. It requires more creativity, whereas this is more of a set structure and a process to follow for set-based videos. I don't recommend you make Facebook videos at all because we're trying to build strong personal brands. So this would be good if you're just trying to mass views and you can really scale up that way, but we're not trying to just mass views. We want to build strong and influential personal brands, so you need to be in front of the camera. That was essentially it. That's how to get people to watch a video for as long as possible. So that's this section right here. To reiterate, this plus how many people click into our video is what makes the YouTube algorithm happy. And this will lead the algo to keep pushing more people to watch a video and for longer, right? And that is how you build the breadth part of your personal brand, to get the most amount of people to watch as possible. But also, the longer people watch you, the more people connect deep with you. And like I said, YouTube is one of those rare platforms where we actually have the opportunity to get people to watch us for a long time and to connect with them, unlike every other social media platform out there. It's a unique space where YouTube is right now. And this is going to build your personal brand the most. So if getting people to watch our videos for longer to maximize retention helps both for breadth and depth, then yes, video retention is the single most important thing on YouTube. So really, really emphasize this. This is what YouTube wants the most, and this is also what you want the most to build your personal brand. And reminder, I covered a lot in this video. This was a very, very long session. Reminder to use YouTube Brand Launch Community. That's where you get guidance from my coaches and I, so you can share results with others for feedback, give feedback to others as well, and also connect with other members, entrepreneurs, professionals, and other high-value individuals who are in the group who are also looking to build their personal brand as well. So these are good, valuable connections, and they're all in the community. So I'll see you in the next lesson. We're going to be talking about how to actually film your video. So see you there. Welcome back to YouTube Brand Launch, the program where I help business owners, entrepreneurs, and professionals build a strong and influential personal brand on YouTube. So last lesson, we talked about planning your video to maximize retention. So for this lesson, we're talking about how to actually create your video, the filming process, and that entire stuff involved with getting your beautiful face in front of the camera. All right, so creating your video, let's go. So how to create your actual video depends on the type of video that you want to create. First of all, I have to clarify that there's absolutely no way I will know exactly what type of video you want to create, how you want to create it, how your set should look, all that. That should be dependent on what your niche is, how you envision your content to be, and what you have planned out during your video planning process. In this lesson, I'll give you some overlooked tips to help make the process smoother, some important things to watch out for, and common mistakes that people make. But at the end of the day, you're still going to have to create the video yourself. You're still going to have to film yourself, set up the set you want. I can just give you tips. This is what I'll be doing in this lesson. A couple good filming practices that people often overlook is that the more footage, the better. You technically won't know until after if the footage was good or if you have the right takes or if you like the way you look, the way you act and such. So you can always cut out more footage, but refilming more footage after is harder. So filming more footage is better up to a certain extent. Don't go super perfectionist mode and refilm it 5 times, but make sure you have the footage you need. All right. Number 2 is you want to clarify more and you want to assume less. So one thing we do very often as business owners is that we often assume everyone just gets it. I teach people how to build their personal brand on YouTube. So I might just be like, and you just upload the video. Like, I can't assume that you just know how to upload a video, which is why I actually have an entire lesson for that coming up. But these very, very simple things that I view as simple might actually be complicated for other people, and I only view it as simple because I've been doing it for so long. So you want to clarify more and assume less. Assume your audience doesn't really know anything about what you're talking about. So you really want to make sure to hold their hand and walk through everything step by step if you're doing a tutorial video, or clarify and explain all the individual details when you're making your video. All right? Clarify more, assume less. That's very, very important. Number 3, just remember that you will get better. Often, for your first couple of videos, you might not like the way you talk on camera. It's very common. You might feel you're very awkward. But remember, every single best video creator started out where you are now. Okay, and now look where they are. When I first started doing YouTube, I was super awkward in front of camera. I couldn't really talk. But, now I've grown to over 1 million subscribers, and now I'm talking to you now, right? So a good thing to remember is I always like to imagine myself talking to an inanimate object, which is the truth. Like, even me talking to you right now, you're not going to see this until way later. I'm actually talking to a webcam right now, right? So remember that you're talking to an inanimate object. There's no live audience. You can mess up as many times as possible. You can redo as many takes as you need because you can cut out and edit videos. So this is not a live stream. This is not a performance. You don't have a live audience. You can relax. You're talking to an inanimate object right now. This is literally just a webcam, or in your case, a camera. All right? Now, talk about face or faceless videos. There's a big hype with faceless videos nowadays. Lots of AI videos. Lots of people just using stock footage and total AI script writing. And now, while that might be good for getting a lot of views, if you want to just spam that and hope one video pops off, it's not very good for building a personal brand because, number one, your face doesn't show, so people can't really associate the value they're getting with you as a person, and that doesn't link to your business. And second is that there's a growing trend for people to not like videos made by AI. So for our purpose of building a strong and influential personal brand, of course, I'm going to recommend you actually show your face on camera and talk to the people, give them value, and get them to relate with you. All right, so face videos. Like I mentioned briefly in the last lesson, there's 2 types. One is set-based videos, and one is run-and-gun videos. You can think of set-based videos as ones where you create a set, you have a script, you can be reading off a teleprompter. You usually have a tripod and a camera on that tripod facing the screen, and maybe you have set lighting and everything, and you just are delivering information that way, telling a story that way. Number two is a running gun method, where you think of this as mostly the entertainment YouTubers use this kind of style, where they are vloggers, they have people film them, they go around the city, they do different activities, do different things. That's the running gun style. For business owners, for the large majority of business owners, I do really recommend you stick with the set-based videos, because those are just easier, and the process is so much easier to get set up and to feel comfortable doing. The running gun is good for if you want to add some creative videos once in a while, as long as it relates to your niche and hits your avatar and relates to your business. But generally, for 99% of business owners, I do recommend you stick with the set-based videos, where you set up a set and you shoot that way. All right, so these are super important tips for set-based videos. Number one is lighting is very important. And this is often overlooked by a lot of newer YouTubers, because, they come into a room, they turn the light on, and they're like, okay, well, I can see everything, therefore it must look good on camera, and the camera can see everything. But in reality, what ends up happening is that when they review the footage after, they realize that they're very, very dark. It doesn't look good. So actually right now I have a light right behind the camera. You can't see it, but it's shining directly at my face. So that's the reason why I'm lit the way I am. If I didn't have that, I would be extremely, extremely dark, and you probably wouldn't be able to see me that well, right? So a couple things is, you do want to use external lighting, especially if you're shooting in a studio that doesn't have natural lighting coming from behind the camera. But if you have like a really big window behind the camera that you can shoot from, then that often acts as a good source of lighting. But if the weather were to change outside, or if the lighting, like clouds were to come in, the change of lighting is not a good thing. Like midway through your video, imagine you just get dark. It's probably not a good thing. Ideally, you want to use lighting set, and you also want to make sure that behind you, so where the camera is filming, there's no backlight. So what backlight means is that light coming from behind me shooting into the camera. And what that will do is that will totally obscure my face, and the camera will just be getting the light around me. I'll give you an example of that. So this here on the left side is example of really, really bad backlighting. Totally get washed out. Number two is external audio is a must. Most cameras and most phones, anything that you film with, have really, really bad audio. So if you think of it, if you're setting up the camera and that's like 5 feet away from you, a meter, almost 2 meters away from you, it's really hard for the audio to get there and sound crisp. Most of the built-in microphones and cameras are also really bad quality. The easiest thing is you get something, what is called a lavalier mic. So it's a mic that is strapped to your chest here. It's a wireless connection, and then the other part, the receiver, is connected to the camera itself. So when you're filming, you have much better audio. Okay, number two is you want to talk to the camera. A lot of times we're heads down, we're not really focused. We're just kind of in our own world because we're trying to memorize a script and such. But you want to be talking to the camera, especially when you're explaining something. A lot of times, let's say you have the screen showing what you look like on the side of the camera. We get fixated looking at that screen and how we look, and we forget that, that's actually not where our eyes should be. Our eyes should be looking directly at the camera, the lens of the camera, because that's where the audience is going to be looking at you from. All right, so talk into the camera, especially when you want to explain something. Don't get too caught up in looking at your hair on the side. Number four, you want to do practice takes for the set before committing. Let's say you set up your set, you press record. Don't just press record and trust it, all right? Press record, stop it, take a look at your positioning, make sure you're not too off to the one side or the other, make sure the lighting is fine, make sure there's no backlight. Take a listen to the audio to make sure that it's crisp. Let's film for 30 seconds, make sure everything is good before you actually run the entire take. All right. And number five, this is especially important if you guys are planning to script your entire script. Even if not, if you just want to have a few bullet points, I find that using a teleprompter is makes it so easier, so much. It's a life-saving tool, right? Instead of trying to memorize everything. Another pro tip for the teleprompter, if you do plan on using it, make the text bigger on the teleprompter and make the speed run faster. It's way better than having the text much smaller and the speed run slower, because when you have the text smaller, you can really see when someone's eyes are moving to the left and reading the line and moving to the right and again and again. But the thing is, when the text is really, really big, you can use your peripheral vision. You really see all the text at once just by looking directly into the lens of the camera. So it's better to have the text bigger and just have it run faster instead of the text smaller and have it run slower. This is an example of a set-based video. For example, you can see how there's lights here. These don't really create that much of a backlight, but it's a nice accent. I can add one here too, like a light bar and such. There's lighting here as well. That's fine. Yeah, these are just prime examples of set-based video. As you can see, this is the lav mic on Alex Hormozy. So he's using external audio. I'm using external audio lav mic here. She's got this thing here, which is also an external audio, but it's just like a arm that comes in to a microphone. It's very simple. Once you set up your set exactly how you want, set up to your personality, set it up to your credentials, the things you want to show off. For example, here I'm showing off my YouTube accolades as well as my Bilibili, which is another social media platform, long form. Whereas Hermosi, nice and clean set as well. Oh, another big thing is that when you're building your set, you should be forward in front of your set enough so that when the camera focuses, it focuses on you and has sufficient blur on the back. Otherwise, it's too distracting. So you want the back to be blurred, maybe to this level or perhaps even more. The more things you have in the back, the less clean it is, the more blurred you want the background to be. And you accomplish that by moving yourself forward to create more distance between you and the back wall where the things are, and that will create the blurring effect. Also, generally, the better the quality of the camera and the lens, the more blurry effect you can have in the back, and that's called the bokeh. If you look at the camera, there's some settings, f1 point something, f2 point something, f4 point something. Generally, the lower it is, the more blurred effect you can create. Tips for run and gun if you do want to do this. Let's say you want to sprinkle it in and add some personality and such in your videos and just mix it up once in a while. I can see a lot of people actually might be able to do something like this. For example, let's say a day in the life of a dentist, a day in the life of a lawyer. You run around, show the experience. People like that. Even things like challenges, like trying to make my client 150% returns on his stock portfolio. Something like that can also be run and gun style, right? So you want to watch out for shakiness. Very small movements lead to big shakiness when you look at the footage after, especially when you're walking and shooting. It's very easy to not notice. So you can use something called a gimbal, which stabilizes your camera, a longer selfie stick, which has a wider field of vision, so less shaky as well, or just hire a videographer who can take that off your hands completely. Number 2, your voice audio is super important as well. So consider external microphone, very similar to what we're talking about for set-based videos. This is especially pertinent for run and gun videos because you're going into changing environments all the time. There's going to be various levels of ambient noise and different things around. So especially with outdoors with wind noise. Okay, and number 3 is framing is usually tighter than you expect, especially when you're filming a selfie style. So unless you have a wide angle lens, try to use a longer tripod to get a wider frame. Yeah, just watch out for that. Couple examples. Yeah, this is a run and gun style. You see how cropped the frame is. This is one of our videos at the beginning. Earlier days when we were doing YouTube. Iman Gadzi, you might know him. Yeah, exactly. So he's a prime example of a business owner who uses YouTube to build his personal brand, and he uses a mixture of run and gun videos as well as set-based videos. A lot of his videos are just sitting, talking, explaining a concept, but then in some scenes, he'll be running around showcasing his life and such. So let's talk equipment now. So there is good equipment to match any budget. If you're talking about YouTube, you don't have to have the best equipment. You just have to have decent audio and decent lighting. If you were to spend on something and you don't have much of a budget, the most important things to buy are external audio as well as lighting if you need it. So just a couple examples of different price ranges that we can be looking at. You got something like this, which is a point and shoot. You can't change the lens. It is stuck the way it is. It's tiny, maybe just like this big. Super portable, great for run and gun videos. The budget version, the non-budget version, which is still budget, to be honest. And then you have other cameras, which are like mid-range here, where you can remove the lens, but still not that expensive. This is a mid-range lens. And you have the top of the line stuff, which is here. It would give you the best quality video, as well as have the best depth of field. So if your budget can afford it, you can go for something like this, or you can, go for something in mid-range or something even lower. This is what I meant by a lavalier mic. Something like this is absolutely essential to have. Obviously, you need SD cards to film footage. Something like this is the budget lighting, tripods, small handheld cameras, just anything. Oh, in here, this is a teleprompter, right? And this is the more expensive stuff. You can have the newer version of that same lavalier mic, a better shotgun mic. This mounts on top of your camera. This is a really, really good teleprompter that I personally use. Good tripods, better lighting. This is technically the higher range stuff that you would expect if you needed to build a good setup. It's not too expensive, as you can see. So for your convenience, I'll leave all of these attached. Yeah, so for your convenience, if you don't already have equipment that you can use for YouTube, I'll leave all of these recommendations, things that I use, attached with Amazon links down below to this video and in the resources section. They are affiliate links, so I do benefit if you use them. So thanks for that. But it doesn't matter to me. You can get them anywhere. All right, now the key thing is to have fun with the creation process. I know we are doing this to build a personal brand. You're also doing this for business purposes, for your main business. But know that you are getting a unique chance to speak to a lot of people and make a change to a lot of people in this world. You're providing value to a lot of people who are struggling with the same things that you struggled with. This is your chance to not only build a strong and influential personal brand for yourself and your business, but also to have fun with the creation process and make a genuine change in a lot of people's lives. we're at a unique time in this in history where we can speak to so many people at the same time. So really enjoy the process, the benefits that come with it, and just the creation process altogether. And I always end off with this, a reminder to use the YouTube Brand Launch community. It's the best place to get guidance and coaching from myself and my team of coaches. This is where you can share your results, your wins with others and ask others for feedback. You can help out and give feedback to others and really connect with a lot of other business owners, entrepreneurs, and professionals. Good luck filming, have fun with it, and let me know if you have any questions. And best of luck with that. I'm excited to see the videos that you come up with. See you in the next lesson. All right, welcome back to YouTube Brand Launch, the program where I help entrepreneurs, business owners, and professionals build a strong and powerful personal brand on YouTube. Last lesson, we talked about how to actually create your video, the filming process, getting your beautiful faces in front of the camera. Now let's talk about how to edit that video to get it to the final stage where we can actually post it. So video editing, this is the topic for today. All right, let's start by this. What is the main goal of video editing? Is it to make an entertaining video, to show off our amazing editing skills, to make something really cool? You already know from watching too many of these lessons that the answer is going to be no. The answer is retention. So this goes back to your video planning. Good editing is an essential tool to increase retention. Now, it won't be the do or die make all for retention. That actually comes in your planning, but video editing can enhance your video's ability to retain people. So we should be thinking about video editing in the framework of what benefit can it actually provide to my personal brand, instead of the way a lot of people think of it in a creative way. Cool video, super nice, blah, blah, blah. All that is not very important to us. Retention is what we're focused on. So again, like I said, retention, the reason why we're so focused on this is because it's a key component to satisfying the YouTube algorithm. How many people click into your video and how long people watch your video for. This will make the YouTube algorithm happy, and it will lead to a positive feedback loop of having more people click into our videos and watch it for longer. All right. But also, like I said before, you need people to watch your video. Also, as mentioned before, in order to actually make an impact on people, you need people to watch you for a long time and to consistently connect with them and drive value to them in that way. So the longer they watch you, the more personal brand depth you'll have. So yes, retention is for both breadth and depth. So how does editing actually help retention? Well, editing re-engages the viewers throughout the entire video and keeps the video feeling fresh up until the final payout. So like I said, it's not everything. Like you can't just plan a shitty video and just use editing to get people to stay. This is an added benefit. So there's three main building blocks of editing that helps to increase retention. The first one is visual stimulation. I'll explain them all later. Second one is the pacing of the video, and third is the mood of the video. So let's go through how each of these helps to increase retention. Visual stimulation. What that is what's happening on screen. So either what the audience sees or doesn't see as well. Right? So this doesn't mean to bombard the viewer with a ton of visual stimulation. That's not necessarily a good thing. You want to use it strategically at certain times to convey important points. So for example, when you want to increase visual stimulation, what you're doing is you're increasing the information conveyed. Think charts, graphs that help convey points, pop-ups and such. You decrease visual stimulation to have the audience narrow in on a specific point, create tension, create suspense, emphasize key points in your video, and really connect with you as a person in that way. It's harder to connect with you when there's stuff popping up on our screen, whereas if you're super focused, just looking at the camera, conveying a point, no visual stimulation, it feels deeper, and it feels like what I'm saying is more impactful. Case in point. Cool? Number two, pacing. So the speed at which things are happening in the video. So faster pacing, going through points faster, advances the video quickly, delivers more information. That might be a good thing, might be a bad thing, depending on how you use it. Slower pacing drags out the video, but the audience can focus in on very specific details. Changes in pacing is something you should use consistently throughout your entire video, because what this does is that makes the video feel animated and feels fresh, like they're watching multiple videos in one. Very similar to the concept of the structured segments from the body section when you're planning your video. Changing pacing will also make the audience urgently want to get to the payout, or slow them down to wait for the payout more patiently. That's pacing. That's one way to use pacing in editing. Third way is mood. So what do you really want your audience to feel? So in addition to what you're actually saying to the camera, that has some effect on what your audience feels. Obviously, if you're talking about a sad story, they're going to feel sad for you, assuming you tell it properly. If you're telling about your successes, they might feel envious. They might feel aspired to be like you, inspired. So changes in mood make the video feel multidimensional and personable. So try changing different moods throughout the video to match what you're saying. The right mood at the right time makes the audience more invested in the video and builds emotional connections with the character slash situation. So you as the character and you as a person who wants to have a strong, influential personal brand. So a good use of mood, a good match to what you're saying, connects with viewers and makes loyal fans. So by controlling the mood in the video through various different tactics, which I'll show later, you can really connect deeper with your audience. Another important thing is contrast. So what contrast is in the video perspective is an obvious difference between two things or more. So let's say in the context of the three things that we talked about, let's say you go pop up a lot of stuff and then nothing. You go fast and then you go slow. And then you go happy and then you go sad. And you go serious and you go light. It's the contrast and the moment where that contrast is initiated, which really pulls the viewers back in and makes them think, oh, this is totally different. This is something new. It's fresh. It feels like it's a brand new part, which is contrast is the thing that really encapsulates all three of these things that I was talking about, how you can use them. So building contrast in your video editing is a very, very good way of keeping people watching your video and upping your retention. All right, so use it in your video edit. All right, now let's go through the exact editing tools to control the visual stimulation, pacing, and mood. All right, so these were the overall bigger concepts. But in order to control each of these things, there's different things that should be done in the editing process itself, right? And I'm not saying that you have to do the actual editing, like you have to actually know the technical skills to do this. You can hire editors on a freelance basis. You can hire editors as a full-time employee for your company. But it's important that you know how to manipulate these things so you can check the work to see if your video is up to your standard and will retain people. Number one, scene selection, right? So scene selection is just what piece of footage you want your viewer to see. The nature of that scene can be more or less visually stimulating depending on your intent. For example, you show an empty room versus a crowded street, you sitting and talking, whereas you standing when walking and talking, or even just you talking versus you talking with a whiteboard in front of you. So there's a different vibe, there's a different purpose behind each thing, right? And the scenes can reflect the mood and style you want to portray as well, all right? So scene selection is something that your editors should be well versed at picking the right scene to convey the right message, and something that you should know how to do you as well. So when you review your videos, that you can make sure that it's good. All right, so here, let me give you an example. This is the MKBHD video, one of the biggest tech YouTubers. I'm sure you know of him. I literally watch him every single time before I buy any piece of tech, so he's my source.
You've got the Sonys, you've got the Bose, there's the AirPods Max, and then kind of the rest. But now,
so just even just quick boom, 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 4 different scenes of 4 different headphones and different backgrounds and different visuals for each of them. And the reason why he had 4 different scenes in such rapid fashion that are so drastically different, emphasize the fact that these are different headphones and keep the scenes fresh. So that's scene selection, right? Number 2 is scene velocity. So how fast are you changing between your scenes? This is directly related to the pacing of your video. The faster you change your scenes, the faster your pacing is, obviously. You can also change the mood through this. Like the faster you change your scenes, the more urgent the mood feels. And it affects the amount of visual stimulation that you're giving the viewer. So the more scenes you show, the more things that the viewer has to process as well. Give you an example, this one here, Alex Hormozzi's video after closing 4,000 sales, a new method.
I have over 100 salespeople across our portfolio that does over $250 million a year. In this video, I'm going to teach you one sales skill that separates the best from the rest. And it's so powerful, I've never taught it before. And so I'm going to cover the 3A framework of reframing, which is the skill I'm going to teach you, and the 5 rules for using it ethically. So what's reframing? Reframing is the 1 to 3 sentences.
Okay, so yeah, that was his intro for the video. So as you can see, he used a lot of different scenes in just the beginning, 5 to 10 seconds. You got ones of him zooming into this corner here that shows one thing, a blurred image. One of him zooming to this corner here, showing one thing, blurred image. And then he goes into this little blueprint thing that he does here.
So what's reframing?
What is reframing here? So what he's doing is that he's rapidly changing the scene to deliver as much information as possible, and that's how he's controlling his visual stimulation, his mood, and his pacing of his video. So number 3, background music. So this is actually super duper important, especially for your storytelling videos. The background music will make or break your storytelling videos. And it actually takes a lot of skill choosing the right background music, so you want to make sure your editor is actually proficient in this. You need to pick the background music that matches the mood of what you're saying as well as how you're delivering the information, okay? Because a mismatch of the background music will completely kill your video. Now, throughout the video, you want to change your background music to, 1, match your mood, but also to keep your video fresh. Even if you do want to keep the exact same mood through the video, so let's say you're only one-dimensional in the video. Breaking it up into 3 and then using 3 different background musics of the same mood will still help keep your video fresh and make it at least feel like it's separate different sections. One thing that's really useful is having background music, and then for a specific part where you really want to emphasize to create drama, suspense, or before a big reveal or something, you cut the background music off and you just do that part with no background music. I generally use it since I find it helps emphasize the mood, but also if you don't use it, it creates more of a raw emotion and creates that drama and suspense like I was talking about. But you have more flexibility if you want to use it or not, okay? If you're going to use it, it has to match the mood of what you're saying, all right? Give you an example.
This 90-year-old sushi chef is about to try American sushi for the first time.
It's my video, by the way.
But isn't American sushi just regular sushi? It isn't. Brief history lesson. Sushi dates all the way back to 14...
Yeah, so you can see a very, very distinct change in background music here. Here's some kind of like ethereal background music where it's like, oh, this such a powerful moment, spiritual moment.
This 90-year-old sushi chef is about to try American sushi for the first time. But isn't American sushi just regular sushi?
Cuts to emphasize here. You know what I mean?
It isn't. Brief history lesson.
Now this like music starts, and that is more of a pacing music. So that matches the mood of him telling the story and delivering as much information as possible. Number 4, visual effects. So these are effects that are not part of your original footage. Actually, in the example for the scene velocity, Alex Hormozi used a lot of visual effects as well. So you've seen this already, but this is primarily used as a method of visual stimulation. Either number 1, to convey further information that can't be told. A lot of times, let's say you want to say something, you really want to emphasize that, you can use visual effects as that specific term in text on your screen. It can also be used as a reminder of the primary goal at the end. So scorecards, title cards, these are intermittently placed throughout your video to remind people that there's a primary goal at the very end. You know, pop-up effects to convey messages. Think about using them whenever you need to emphasize something or to remind someone of something or to convey a point that can't be conveyed by the footage alone.
Sexy part. You associate. All right.
Like this, for example. It's great to deliver frameworks because it allows you to add on to the chart continuously throughout the video. So the next time this thing pops up, these two are going to be filled out. This one's popping up right now. It's a reminder that, hey, look, maybe you're staying for the video to see the complete version of this blacked out. I really wonder what it is. So it reminds people that, you know, they still have to stay for the entire video for the primary goal to find out what this is.
Now there's 3 associations.
Now this would not be possible if he didn't use a visual effect. You know, he can't be like, you know, now we've got to associate with the previous one we've had acknowledged. People are not going to be able to remember the previous one was acknowledged. So something visual like this, where this one fills out and the previous one is already filled in for that. You see that even though he has it on here, he still chose to make it here with this visual effect as well. I think that's a very, very effective way. Number 5 is sound effects. So sound effects really help enhance the mood that you're trying to portray. And it helps re-engage the audience by drawing their attention back to the visual stimulation. Think of it as an audio reminder that the person is watching the video and they should pay attention. But you want to keep in mind not to use it in too much of a gimmicky way. You know those comedy shows, how like they say something funny and then they have the laugh track in the background? Like, ha 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 ha. Our purposes of using YouTube as business owners who want to provide value and not just pure entertainment, it's not the best idea to use sound effects like that. I'm sure you've heard of mukbangs before. So these are very, very heavy with sound effects. I'll give you an example. So that. So you might think that that's actually all just a crumpling of the bag and such, but actually these are added sound effects on top of that to make it really pop more. But for our purposes as business owners making YouTube videos to build our personal brand, we shouldn't spam sound effects and think of sound effects as a method to draw people back into paying attention to our video and increasing retention instead of having it as a key ingredient to the style that we're doing, like mukbangs. And number 6, we have voiceovers. So voiceovers is essentially just voices speaking over the scene that are not part of the original audio. Voiceovers are used to convey information when you don't have the actual footage to convey that. It's also good for building the mood when you lack the proper clips. And it also has an effect on pacing as well. So the pacing of your voice in your voiceover can control the pacing of your video. Let's take a look here. This is Mr. Beast's video, $10,000 every day you survive in the wilderness. Let's see how he uses voiceovers here.
It was clear that in this moment, Grizz was going to have to make a decision. Convince Hayes to continue surviving in these woods for more and more money, or be there for his friend when he needed him the most.
Yeah, so that's a clear voiceover. The reason why he added voiceover here is to build the stakes. So here he used voiceover to build the mood. It's more intense now. It's more serious. And also to convey the fact that now this character is at the crossroads where he can try to make his friends stay for longer to make more money together, or he can quit the challenge and both of them get to go home and they stop making money. That was a point that was not conveyable without the voiceover. You know how I mentioned you should explain more and expect less? You don't want to expect that the audience automatically knows what decision this guy's processing in his mind. That's where the voiceover comes in and helps convey the fact that this guy's deciding between these two options here. So that's how you use voiceovers, to convey additional information that can't be conveyed just by the scene, and also to build the mood as well. Now, I gave you all these different things, the 6 different things that you can use to control the pacing, the mood, and also the visual stimulation. However, you don't have to use all these tools. There are channels who use all these tools and channels who use only some of these tools. Generally, you're going to be using at least 1 or 2. I wouldn't say there's any channels that use none of these tools, because it's really hard to convey information to make a video without any of these. It depends on the style you want to have your videos. It depends on your niche, and it depends on what you want to convey your personal brand as. So choose the tools that are a good fit for you to achieve more retention in your videos. A really important note I should mention, because this affects your video's performance, is that content used without owner's permission can be flagged as copyright material in your video. What I mean by that is, let's say you wanted to use a stock footage during one of your voiceovers, or you wanted to use certain background music or a certain sound effect or a certain picture. All these different things are called assets. You want to be aware who owns that actual asset. Is it under copyright protection or not? Because if you use something that belongs to someone else, they can actually flag your video as containing copyright material, and 2 things will happen. Number 1, all the money you make from that video, which is from the views, but all that money is going to go to them. Generally, that's not your biggest concern. Your biggest concern is that your video will actually reach less people now. So the visibility of that, the algorithm's not going to want to push out copyrighted flagged video as much as if it didn't have a copyright. Okay, so your visibility of that video will be penalized. That's 100% not what you want, because that kills your breadth and it kills your depth. The way to avoid this is to use sound effects and background music that are labeled quote-unquote copyright free. If they're getting it from YouTube and it says copyright free, now generally most of the time you won't get flagged, but there's always a risk of that. But if you're using a paid subscription service to assets like Envato Elements, it's a service that has both stock footage, sound effects, background music. It's a full service, has everything. Epidemic Sound is specialized for background music. If you're using services like this, which require a paid subscription, you can be 100% sure that you're going to be fine, because you're paying for the right to use that asset, right? I do recommend this, because this way you get that off your mind, you don't have to worry, and you can be 100% sure that the visibility of your video is not going to be affected, because you're putting a lot of time and effort into making these videos so you can build your personal brand, right? So last thing you want is to put all that effort and not have your video being pushed just because of a background music. Let's talk about editing. So my recommendation to you as a fellow business owner is not to edit your own video. Even if you actually enjoy it, even if you actually think it's fun, you probably are not going to be as good as people who specialize in editing, nor will you have the time to edit in the first place. So the best thing you can do is just hire someone off a freelancer website like Fiverr or Upwork. I'll leave links down below for easy access for you. Or if you have the funds, you can hire a full-time editor as well. It's a lot easier. But if you really insist and you want to edit, I have no idea why you would. It's miserable. I hate editing. CapCut, Premiere Pro, Final Cut, and DaVinci Resolve. These are the popular ones. So CapCut, best for beginners, good level for all YouTubers. Very simple, very easy to use. Has a free option, and then a pro version for $40. Free option has a watermark, which is kind of silly, so I wouldn't use it. Adobe Premiere Pro is a steeper learning curve. There's a subscription behind this. It's $240 a year. A lot of tutorials online will teach you how to do it. Premiere Pro is very popular. Final Cut Pro is used for the Apple interface system. So if you have a MacBook and you want to edit on a MacBook, this is a good option. $300 one-time purchase. And DaVinci Resolve, another less beginner-friendly but free editing software that you can use. Now, like I said, I don't recommend you edit any videos yourself, right? Because you probably don't have the time or the energy. It's a very exhausting process. And I think you should focus on more things like making more videos, better videos, and working on your businesses and just living your life in general, right? Remember, you are building a personal brand on YouTube. That is your ultimate goal. So that means your ultimate goal from YouTube editing, video editing, is to get people to stay as long as possible, to build up the depth of your connection of your personal brand, as well as the breadth of your personal brand. All right. That's the pure goal. You're trying to build a personal brand on YouTube. You're not trying to wow them with revolutionary, amazing edits. You're not trying to impress people with how amazing your videos are edited. The important part is to build a personal brand on YouTube And editing's purpose in that is to get people to stay as long as possible. So remember this. Don't get too carried away by when you see edits and be like, wow, I want that. Focus on the actual goal. This is the thing that actually matters. Building a strong and influential personal brand on YouTube. All right. And I covered a lot in this one as well. So if you guys have any questions, concerns, reach out to my team and I. We're on YTB, a brand launch community. So make sure you guys use the community. It's where you can share results with others for feedback. You can give feedback to help others and also connect with other high value business owners, entrepreneurs, and professionals. All right. So I'll see you on YouTube brand launch. Good luck. I can't wait to see your video fully edited and posted on your channel. I'll be watching it. Next lesson is going to be a quick tutorial on how to actually post your video to the optimal settings and making sure that your video gets out to as many people as possible. Welcome back to YouTube Brand Launch, the program where I help entrepreneurs, business owners, and professionals build strong and powerful personal brands on YouTube. All right, so this is just a really, really quick lesson. By now, you should have already created your video. As well as how to edit it. So this is just teaching you how to actually upload the video, since, like I said, explain more, assume less, right? So maybe you guys don't actually know how to upload your video yet. Well, first of all, you have to create a YouTube account. So that's just creating a Google account and then go on YouTube and then creating an account. But let's talk about uploading the video. Okay. So once you have a YouTube account, all you do is just hit this create button up here on the top right-hand corner. Look where I am right now. Press create, press upload video. And then what you do is you press select file, or you can just drag. So let me just drag a random video in, just drag this thing. All right, so it's uploading, and then here's where you put your title. So let's name it YT Brand Launch Strong Personal Brand. Make it look nice. Okay, I'm just doing this for quick demonstration purposes. Description. Here, explain what your video is about. So this video helps YT Brand Launch students create a strong personal brand on YT. Okay, so right what that's about. Thumbnail. This is where you would upload your custom thumbnail. Now there's a new test and compare feature, which allows you to test up to 3 different thumbnails. You should definitely be using this one. Press that. I mean, we used to pay a third-party subscription money just to have access to A/B test our thumbnails, but now YouTube has built it in, so it's even better. So now I've got 3 different thumbnails. I just press done. So this will automatically run through these 3 thumbnails and show them to different people to test which one is the best. And it's not just testing on the basis of which one makes people click in the most. It also tests on the basis of which one of these thumbnails has the best effect on retention as well. So for example, if a thumbnail gets some people to click in, but people click out immediately because it's totally clickbait, then YouTube will also determine that and pick the best thumbnail based on retention. That's why it's very important not to lie in your thumbnails and actually deliver what you're promising in the packaging. So I've got my title here, I've got my description, I've got my 3 different thumbnails I'm testing out. I can add it to a playlist if I want to make it, if I have playlists made already, but I don't have it, so it's fine. Press no, it's not for made for kids. This is usually for like children's content, which your content definitely will not be. Monetization, turn that on. This message here, only videos longer than 8 minutes are eligible for mid-roll ads during video. So these are ads you can put in the middle of your video to make more money on the ads, on when YouTube runs ads on your video. You don't have to do it. Well, you should turn monetization on because you make money anyway. Even if it's not your primary purpose, you should still turn it on. This is just ad suitability. So just confirm that you have none of this stuff. I don't have inappropriate language, none of this violence, adult content, shocking content, blah, 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 drugs content. No, nothing. Okay, nothing. So none of the above, and you press submit rating. There we go. So that rating has been saved. Hit next. This is where you add your music licenses. So you can add, this is if you're using YouTube's built-in music, right? But what I do recommend is you use a separate music third-party website where you can pay for a subscription. They have better music there anyway. So like Epidemic Sound, Artlist.io, these are different sites that allow you to have background music and not get copyrighted. You can add subtitles here. If you have your own SRT files that you've made separately, you can upload it here. You don't necessarily need it. Don't worry about that. English is fine. Add end screen. So this is important. So what you can do is you press add here. And at the end of your video, let's say right about here, let's say, okay, so like 3 seconds left. This is where you can pop up things on the end screen to allow people to click into other videos of yours. Let's say if they finish watching a video about one certain topic and you want to link that to like your full tutorial about how to do that certain thing. So here's where you would add your end screen. So you can choose your configuration. You want 1 video and then a subscribe button. You want 2 videos. I generally recommend this one because if someone's going to subscribe to you, they're going to subscribe to you even if you don't put a subscribe button at the end. I would go this one. So you can choose 2 different videos. I would normally go, one is best for viewers, so let the algo handle that. And the other one will be something from your video. So let's say I just want to link it to this video. Oh, I'm linking to a playlist right now. So I want to add a video. There we go. So here's the most recent upload. right here. And here's the best for viewer. So the algo handles this, finds what's best for the viewer. It's usually very smart. And then the recent video that I want to push people to. It doesn't have to be recent video. It can also be choose specific video down here, and you can choose a video that you want them to watch next. So at the end of your video, what's often very good is saying something like, hit this video here if you want to watch blank, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Watch me teach you how to build the strongest personal brand on YouTube, and click here for a video that YouTube thinks you'll love. So then you give them 2 options to click onto something, but both of these videos generally will be from your channel. I mean, they should be from your channel because you want to push them to watch more of your videos anyway. Okay, so this is what I would recommend. 2 videos, 1 best for viewer and 1 manually chosen one, and then a voice call to action saying you can choose here or choose here. All right, so that's the end screen. You hit save. Oh, let me just one more thing. You can adjust when your end screen starts with this bar here. So you can adjust it like I want it to start. This is a little extreme. And this is 20 seconds of end screen. So I would do 5 seconds at the end of your video, the very end of your video. So I drag it to 5 seconds. 58, this is about 53. So yeah, boom, save. You could use add cards. Cards are things that pop up on, like, I'll show you. Let's say I want to link to, I don't know, let's just say Amazon. So what that is, you can call the action, go here, go here. There. So let's say I wanted to add an Amazon thing. Okay, so that means that this is a card. So it pops up in the top right-hand corner. So you can, if you wanted to make a call out in the middle of your video, be click here to see, my service. Again, like I said, use these sparingly. Remember, YouTube is to provide value, give goodwill. But if you wanted to call someone out here, you can use this end card here and point to this little area. I don't really use them, but you can use them. So now I've added end screen and cards. Tag products. If you wanted to tag products featured in your video, you can do that too. So I have my merch linked to it right now, but you can link your store through Google and then tag your products as well. These 3 will be useful for business. These 2 you don't really have to do. Next, copyright, no issues found. Are tracks from Creator Music missing? Well, I'm not using Creator Music. Creator Music is YouTube's built-in music platform. I don't use that. I use the third-party music, Epidemic Sound. Checks, no copyright issues found. If there's anything found, it'll be show here. So next, so I always post it as unlisted first, which means basically only people with a video link can watch it. And the reason why is because it gives YouTube the system. Let's say I post as unlisted a day in advance of when I want the video to be released. It gives YouTube a chance, the system, to scan through my video and check if they think there's any copyright issues. A lot of times there's no copyright issues, but YouTube still might flag you for something. Their system might have an error or something. Then you have to go manually request a review of that. So I want to give like 1 day in advance to allow for YouTube to go out and check my video to make sure there's no copyright things on their end as well, because I want the best possible release where I don't want to have any slowdowns during the release after the video has been released. I don't want to release the video immediately and then YouTube be like, oh, by the way, we think there's copyright here, and then they slow my video's velocity down, right? What I want to do is I usually want to post something a day in advance in unlisted mode. It allows for YouTube to check it. Private also works as well for this. Only you and people you choose can watch your video. Private, unlisted, generally one of these 2 is good if you want to post a day in advance. Members only. So this is if you have a members committee in YouTube. I don't think it's applicable for what we're trying to do now. We're trying to reach the most amount of people, not to monetize our YouTube from a members perspective. So forget this. Public is people can watch it immediately. Setting an instant premiere is often good once you have an established base of audience. What this means is that there's a chat box in the side, and you can be in there and chat with them as they watch your video for the first time, right? So it's good to engage and build loyal fans that way, but there's no point of a premiere unless you're going to be there with them. Last thing you could do is schedule. So you can schedule a time, date, time zone, choose a time zone. So right now I have it set as private to public. Time zone, and you can set it so that when it actually releases, it releases as a premiere or not a premiere. This, I've never noticed much of a difference for performance for this, but you can interact with people in your community. So it might make sense if you have the time to premiere it with them. Okay, but otherwise what I normally do is I set unlisted, a day in advance, and then the day of when I want to release it, I'll just manually go in and switch it in my settings to public and publish it. Okay, but for now I'm going to leave it unlisted. Boom, and just like that, my video is posted. As you can see, it's unlisted here, no views. This is the studio, and then what you would do is you would just hit that, hit public, hit publish when you want to release it, or you can swap it from unlisted to schedule with this down here. Okay, that's how you post a video on YouTube. quite simple. A couple things to watch out for is the visibility, posting it in advance just to allow for YouTube to do the checks for copyright, and also the end screen and the cards and the title, so the thumbnails, right? So best of luck. Can't wait to see your video and can't wait to see your channel take off and your personal brand take off with that as well, okay? So in the next section of this course, we'll be talking about how to take a look at the data, analyze it, optimize, and make changes to get better performance, both in terms of breadth as well as depth for your viewers. All right, see you in the next lesson.